All right, I'd like to call to order.
Hold on, let me start the recording.
Okay,
Recording in progress.
very good. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Washoe County Open Space and Park Regional Park Commission for Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
Brandon, would you please call roll?
Yes, Timothy Dake.
Present.
Miles Gertler, will not be here. Sean Hill.
Present.
Kevin Joel, looks like he just got online. Commissioner Joel, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I need you to, we're doing roll call.
I'm present.
Okay, thank you. Neil Jones.
Present.
Nick Kearney. Mark Newman.
Present.
And Lisa Rhodey.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hill, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and read the Zoom instructions. So this meeting will be held in the County Commission chambers and via Zoom. To attend this meeting via Zoom, please log into the Zoom webinar using the link found on the agenda. You can also join the meeting by typing zoom.us into your computer browser, clicking Join a Meeting on the Zoom website, and entering this meeting ID, 898-2690-0042. Alternatively, you can join the meeting via telephone only by dialing 1-669-900-9128. Enter the meeting ID of 898-2690-0042 and press pound. For those wishing to provide public comment via Zoom, log into the Zoom webinar using the link on the agenda and utilize the raise hand feature during any public comment period. To provide public comment via telephone only, press *9 to raise hand and *6 to mute or unmute.
Can I make one comment? Would like to recognize that Commissioner Mariluz Garcia has showed up to the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 4, election of the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission Chair and Vice Chair for a term January 22nd, 2025 through January 28th, 2026. We'll start with the position for Commission Chair. Do I hear any nominations?
I nominate myself, Neil Jones.
I don't know, can we speed this up and just say, as county commissioners has no objections to it, that we just leave all the positions the way they are and go from there? If nobody doesn't want to leave their position?
We can nominate that. Mr. Jones has made a nomination of himself for chair. Mr. Jones?
This is Commissioner Joel. I'd like to second the nomination for Mr. Jones.
Mark, would you like to make a nomination for Kevin Joel? Keep it as is?
Keep it as is,
Or do I hear any
unless somebody doesn't want it anymore.
nominations? I have a nomination for Neil Jones as commission chair and a second. Do I hear any other nominations?
Well, it seems Chair Joel seconded the nomination, so I think maybe we should honor.
Okay, we have a second on Mr. Jones as the commission chair. All in favor
Commissioner Dake, this is Deputy District Attorney Lindsay Liddell. For the record, I recommend taking public comment or calling for public comment before you take action.
Thank you,
On
Lindsay.
the item, thank you.
And with regard to Neil Jones as Commission Chair, do I hear any comments? Public comments?
I have no public
I'd
comments
like
in
to just-
chambers. No hands raised on
I'd like to
Zoom.
just say, this is Commissioner Joel. I'd just like to say that I'm flattered by Commissioner Newman's comments to keep things as they are, and I have very much enjoyed being chair, and I'm not opposed to doing it again, but I think it also should be something that rotates through the commission. Since Commissioner Jones has expressed interest, I'm fine to pass the torch to someone else for a term.
Thank you, Commissioner Joel. This is Commissioner Dake, and I second that good job that's been done by Commissioner Joel, but also in agreement with him that it's good to move that shore around a little bit. So if there's no more nominations, no comments, can I take a roll call on Neil Jones for Commissioner Chair, or a vote for Commissioner Neil Chair?
Yes, I'll go ahead and do the roll call vote. So just say yes or no, yea or nay, however you prefer. But this is yes for Neil Jones, correct?
As
Okay.
Commission Chair.
So Timothy Dake,
Aye, yes.
Sean Hill,
Yes.
Kevin Joel,
Yes.
Neil Jones,
Yes.
Nick Kearney, Mark Newman,
Yes.
Lisa Rhodey.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Okay, with that, we have a new Commission Chair with Mr. Neil Jones. Thank you.
Congratulations.
For the.
Thank you all.
For the position of Commission Vice Chair, do I hear any nominations?
You're
I
doing a
nominate
wonderful
Timothy
job.
Dake.
I nominate you.
I second that. Commissioner Jones?
Do I hear any other nominations? I've got, I believe, a second. I've got a nomination and I believe a second for Timothy Dake as Vice Chair. Any comments? Public comments?
I have no public comment in chambers, no hands raised on Zoom.
Any comments from the commission? Nope. Take a vote for Timothy Dake as Vice Chair.
Timothy Dake,
Aye.
Sean Hill,
Yes.
Kevin Joel,
Yes.
Neil Jones,
Yes.
Nick Kearney, Mark Newman,
Yes.
Lisa Rhodey.
Yes.
We have it, it's unanimous.
Okay, so we have a new commission chair as Neil Jones and a commission vice chair as Timothy Dake.
Just a suggestion, Vice Chair, it's easier since you're here in person, if you continue running the meeting. We also have some resolutions that you'll have to read coming up in item 7 and 8 as well. So just a suggestion.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you. We'll move agenda item 7 to the next item. This is a resolution of appreciation and recognition of service for Colleen Wallace Barnum for her 26 and a half years of outstanding.
You're on item 5.
I'm getting a 5.
We're on item 5.
25 years?
You're on item 5.
You missed item 5.
I moved ahead to 7.
Unless you want, if you could take them out of order if you want to do that, but that's where we're at.
We will have to go back to item 5 and 6.
We'll go back to item 5, but I
But if you'd like to do the resolutions now, you could do it.
item 7 ahead.
Okay.
Okay?
That's fine.
Okay. We'll start over on that. A resolution of appreciation and recognition of service for Colleen Wallace Barnum for 26 and a half years of outstanding service to Washoe County. Whereas Colleen Wallace Barnum has served the citizens of Washoe County and the Regional Parks and Open Space Program for 26 and a half years, starting as a seasonal park ranger and most currently serving as the Park Operations Superintendent, demonstrating exceptional dedication, leadership, and commitment to the community. And whereas Colleen has been instrumental in overseeing numerous projects and initiatives that have significantly enhanced the quality and accessibility of parks and recreational facilities throughout Washoe County. And whereas Colleen's commitment to public service and her ability to foster community engagement have earned her the respect and admiration of her colleagues, community members, and open space and regional park commissioners. And whereas Colleen's leadership has been pivotal in the successful implementation of various agreements and partnerships, including agreements with the Great Basin Institute, Wilbur May Foundation, William N. Pennington Foundation, and the Robert Z. Hawkins Foundation. And whereas Colleen has shown exemplary service in managing park operations through raising wages for regional park employees and implementing citation authority for park rangers to help ensure the safety, maintenance, and improvement of park facilities, which has greatly benefited the residents and visitors of Washoe County. And whereas Colleen's efforts have been instrumental in facilitating community events, securing donations, and enhancing park amenities. And whereas Colleen's contributions have been vital in promoting the mission of the Washoe County Parks to provide exceptional parks, open spaces, recreational opportunities while preserving natural, historical, and cultural resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission expresses its appreciation to Colleen Wallace Barnum for her dedication to Washoe County and its residents, and wishes Colleen all the best in her well-deserved retirement and future endeavors. Adopted this day, 22nd day of January, 2025.
For the record, Eric Crump with Washoe County Community Services. I just wanted to thank the board for adopting this resolution. You probably remember we had this on the agenda during the November meeting. It was not styled for action, so now she'll get a signed copy, much deserved signed copy of her resolution. And do you want to say a few words, Colleen?
For the record, Colleen Wallace Barton, private citizen, Washoe County. This feels a lot different than it did 2 months ago. But I want to say that it has been a career of a lifetime, for sure. Washoe County has treated me really well and had given me, Eric Crump specifically, many opportunities to engage with citizens, to serve our park staff, and really try to take things to the next level. It's been very challenging with economic recessions and COVID and all sorts of challenges, but they'll always come and go. And that's what I've learned, is that those things are always going to come and go. But what has stayed steady is really my commitment to parks, and I hope to be. I am on the other side, but I hope to be even more engaged as a private citizen. So thank you for the recognition.
Thank you, Colleen.
Cruising maybe.
Everybody's back there. Procedural issues. Again, taking the agenda slightly out of order, I'm going to move on to agenda item 8. This is a resolution of appreciation for Christy Liddy for her outstanding service and contributions to Washoe County. Whereas Christy Liddy, have I got that? Liddy? Light. Thank you. Whereas Christy Light has served the citizens of Washoe County and the Community Service Department, Regional Parks, and Open Space for 39-plus years with great passion and grace, and whereas Christy took much pride in her 35 years as a curator of the Wilbur D. May Museum, creating a welcoming and engaging space for the community at Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, and whereas Christy shared her knowledge and enthusiasm of curation at the May Museum by educating thousands of residents through engaging exhibits, art shows, and community programs. And whereas Christy embraced the future of the museum and was instrumental in expanding the museum to include an area for traveling exhibits and reservable space for community events. And whereas Christy was contributory in the operations of the Great Basin Adventure for decades, welcoming children and their families to the unique Northern Nevada theme park. And whereas Christy fostered positive working relationships with the May Foundation, maintaining the trust and confidence needed in private-public partnerships. And whereas Christy instituted a learning environment for volunteers and staff, providing encouragement and support as a compassionate leader in her profession. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission expresses its appreciation to Christy Lyde for her enthusiasm and commitment to Washoe County and its residents, and wishes Christy all in her well-deserved retirement and future endeavors. Adopted on this 22nd day of January 2025. I need, a motion? We need public comments, or do we have any public comments on both of these resolutions?
Lindsay Liddell, for the record, I recommend calling for public comment on both this item and item 7 regarding
For Colleen Wallace Barnum and Christy Lyde.
I have no public comment in chambers. I have no hands raised on Zoom.
I move to, we have some comments.
It could be before or after, your preference.
Fine now.
I just wanted to share a quick story with Christy Lyde. For the record, Eric Crump with Washoe County's Community Services Department. Christy Lyde was actually one of the first faces I saw with Washoe County Regional Parks and Open Space. Over 20 years ago, I was actually in the area for an interview for a position, and the park superintendent said, you should go over to the May Museum and check it out. There's some great staff there. And her face hasn't changed much in 20 years. I'm not sure how she does it, but it's pretty impressive. And she has always been stalwart. I mean, she is the epitome of that museum, the Great Basin Adventure. We had a lot of fun times when I first came to the county, so I really appreciated working with Christy, and it's been my pleasure working with her for 20 years, and I wish her all the best and congratulations in her retirement.
Eric, thank you. Thank you to Christy.
There we go.
Hi, Christy Lyde, private citizen for 2 weeks and a half. And I wouldn't have been here for so long if it wouldn't have been for such a supportive commission that you've been throughout my career. Eric's always been, Eric was there when one year we had like 5 floods in the museum, and he experienced one right there with the water. And so it's been a joy. Colleen's been a wonderful boss, and I appreciate what you've done for the community. I'll be helping as a volunteer here and there. But I need to go make my Pilates reservation right now. And I'm worried about finding a yoga Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christie. And just a quick plug for the museum. If you haven't been to the Wilbur May Museum, you're really missing out. It's worth your time to go see it. It's really an interesting place, well put together. Again, thank you. So combining these two, items 7 and 8, going to get a motion to approve these resolutions of appreciation.
Mark Newman, for the record, I'll make the motion to approve.
Commissioner Jones, all second.
We have a second. All in favor of approving a resolution of appreciation for Colleen Wallace Barnum and Christy Lyde, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you. Okay, now we'll get back in order. Up to item 5, public comment. Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person, may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items. The comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole. No discussion amongst commissioners may occur during this item.
I have no public comment in chambers, and I have no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. Agenda item 6, approval of the draft minutes of the Open Space and Regional Park Commission meeting of November 20th, 2024.
Mark Newman, for the record, I recommend that we approve the minutes, and very nice job at putting them out.
Commissioner Hill, I'll second.
We have a couple seconds. All in favor of approving the draft minutes of November 20th, 2024?
DDA Lindsay Liddell, for the record, I recommend calling for public comment before taking action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have any public comments on the draft minutes of the Open Space and Regional Park Commission meeting of November 20th, 2024?
I have no public comments in chambers. I see no hands raised on Zoom.
So now we'll vote to approve. All in favor of approving the draft minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 9 is a presentation and discussion on community programs with Reno Food Systems by Lindsay Langsdale, Executive Director and Farm Manager.
Hello, Commissioners. To start off with, my name is Stephanie DRC. I am your new Parks Operations Superintendent. Wanted to let you know that I'm not talking into a microphone that's working.
I don't think your microphone is on.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Is that better?
Let me turn it up.
Is that
We
better?
can hear you on Zoom.
Okay, perfect. Good to hear. So again, my name is Stephanie DRC. I'm the new Parks Operations Superintendent. I am so happy to be here and pleased to be a part of this organization, but understand I have very large shoes to fill. So I'm excited to work with you into the future. So our agenda item right now is a presentation by Reno Food Systems. It is a discussion of their community programs in our community, and I will be bringing up Lindsay Langsdale, who is their Executive Director and Farm Manager. For some background, Reno Food Systems is a 5-acre urban farm that is located at Betsy Collin Donnelly Park. They have 4 focused program areas, which are land stewardship, food equity, education, and they have arts and healing programming. So I'd like to bring Lindsay up to discuss a little bit about their past and what they are looking forward to into the future. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. For the record, my name is Lindsay Langsdale, Executive Director and Park and Farm Manager at Reno Food Systems. So have any of you commissioners been out to the farm for a visit? Yes, a couple of you, great. If you're interested, I can follow up for a tour for everybody after this meeting. All right. So I know there's some new commissioners since last time I was here, so I'm just going to give an update about what we have been up to and kind of the history of the farm up to date. So Reno Food Systems, we formed as a nonprofit in 2016. And after working to develop our vision for a regenerative community demonstration farm, we came here to the commission in 2017, and we pitched our idea to lease the north 5 acres of Betsy Collin Donnelly Park for the project. So our plan was approved in 2018, and we signed a 5-year lease with the county, which has then been renewed in 2022 for another 5 acres. We had the pleasure of closely working with Colleen over the years, who has been incredibly, she's gone. She was so wonderful to work with, really supportive, and really was instrumental in us getting this project going. And we're excited to work with Stephanie into the future. This is a very, so there it is, there, whoops, there we go. So that's us right there, the north 5 acres. This is a very special piece of land. The traditional homelands of the Washoe and the Northern Paiute. It's been a working ranch for generations, and then Betsy Collin Donnelly donated this property to the county with the idea to keep the space open, keep it agricultural, and to be a community resource in perpetuity. And we take this very seriously. We're really inspired by Betsy's act of conservation, and we are privileged to be stewards of this land and to continue that legacy with our farm. All right, so this was day 1, May of 2018, and we call it Park Farm because we envision it just the first of many farms that take residence in public parks. And this is what it looked like. And here we can see me in May of 2018 doing my best to prep this land and put our first seeds in the ground. So 2018 was a big year for infrastructure. We erected fencing. We dug in all of our irrigation. The whole property is on drip irrigation. We planted and grew our first crops that year. We opened our farm stand and started welcoming neighbors and community members to come and shop and tour the farm. And we started donating our produce that year, so we started establishing relationships with different food pantries and community partners, donating weekly to St. Vincent's that year. And we started to recruit volunteers to help us build the farm and to start teaching people about regenerative agriculture. 2019, we expanded our crops so that 1/3 of an acre turned into 1 acre of annual crops. We started to build our perennial garden beds that year. We got our first animals in 2019, which added a really fun agritourism component to the farm, a fun thing for families and kids to get to experience. And we expanded our irrigation and started to bring in lots of organic compost to build our soils. And we welcomed our first cohort of young beginning farmers to come and learn at the farm. One of our big missions is to make this space available to young people who are interested in having careers in agriculture, who may not have their own land or a place to learn a big increase in home gardening. People are really interested in growing their own food, so we began growing seedlings to sell to customers, to do their own home garden, and we created an online year-end gardening course to help support these gardeners to learn how to grow their own. And we were able to get some COVID funding that year that helped with our infrastructure. We got a walk-in fridge. and we got a mobile farmer's market. So in that corner of the picture, you can see a little green ice cream truck. We turned that into a mobile farmer's market and drove it through food desert neighborhoods and tricked kids into thinking we were selling ice creams when really we were selling produce. We were able to increase our donations that year, donating about 1/3 of everything that we grew, and started a relationship with the Women's and Children's of the Sierra Center, donating hundreds of pounds of food a week to them. All right, so jumping to 2024. So in the past few years, we've been working really hard to grow our crew, to grow our crops, to engage in strategic planning with the organization, and really try to secure some long-term grant funding. And notably there in 2024, we were awarded our first federal grant, and it was through the USDA. It's called the Urban Ag Innovation and Production Grant. And there were 600 applicants nationwide. 17 were chosen, and our project was chosen for that funding, which is really cool because it's the first time Nevada has ever been awarded that funding. We were the only state that never got that funding, and this year that it changed. So we're supposed to have a ribbon-cutting ceremony in the spring, and somebody from USDA is coming out to tour the farm, and we're really proud of that achievement with that grant funding. Really excited about it. It's a 3-year grant, so it's really going to help us in the coming years to grow. All right, so that brings us to today. This is a picture of this last season, and let's see if I can make the video happen with this clicker. I don't know if it's going to work. Oh, maybe. There we go. So we can pretend like we're walking in through the front. There's our farm stand and the established trees, and you can see our hoop house. And let's see, there's another one. There we go. Coming in from Mayberry, looking south down through the park. You can see the whole farm. And then the rest of Betsy Collin Donnelly Park at peak season, beautiful green fields. All right, so I've gone over kind of the history of the farm itself, but Reno Food Systems, we do more than just manage the farm. We operate 4 program areas that are working to create a resilient local food system. So our land stewardship program, and that is us stewarding the property at Betsy Collin Donnelly Park. Taking that responsibility really seriously, so we use only organic practices, sustainable practices, and regenerative agriculture practices. So regenerative agriculture is an approach to farming that prioritizes soil health, crop diversity, and healthy ecosystems by working with nature rather than against it. So some tenets of regenerative ag is to always have a living root in the soil at all times. So we do that by putting in cover crops, so the soil is always protected and growing. We cover all of our soils using different mulches and composts. Another tenet is to integrate livestock. So over the years, we've had goats, we've had sheep, we've had pigs, chickens, geese, and bees at the farm. And by incorporating these critters, we get access to natural and organic fertilizers. They help us weed the fields organically. They help us prep the land by burrowing and digging and scratching the land in advance of us sowing our seeds. And they also add just a lot of fun and entertainment for everybody and educational opportunities for FFA and 4-H kids. All right, part of this program is also our annual crop production. So today we have about 2 acres in annual crops. We grow about 30 different varieties. So anything you would see at a farmer's market. Here you can see our cucumbers and our kale and a group of volunteers harvesting eggplant. We also have a food forest. So on the 5 acres, there's about 100 fruit trees. We have hundreds of shrubs that are either fruit-producing, medicinal plants, pollinator plants, perennials, native plants. We've got about 2 acres growing in our perennial food forest plants. And then in 2024, with the help of Colleen and funding from the Nevada Division of Forestry, we started to manage the historical orchard that sits kind of behind the ranch house. So it's adjacent to our 5 acres. It's a new property that we started to manage. And there's about 20 or so trees in this orchard. Some of them are really old apple trees that were there as part of the original ranch. And all of those trees were really in disrepair. So we got this funding from the Division of Forestry to prune these trees, help get them back to health, and we're going to do a bunch of interpretive signage in that section of the park that talks about the history of the ranch and talks about the different trees. We're going to add some benches, tables to be like an outdoor classroom for some of our workshops and school tours. And then all of the fruit that we harvest out of that area will be donated to our community partners. All right, then we have a nursery, so we grow annual vegetable crops and perennial plants that we have for sale at the farm stand. And all of these plants are locally adapted. We only offer plants that are going to grow really well in our climate. We offer lots of resources to our customers who purchase these plants, because one of our missions is to help home gardeners grow their own food and be really successful. All right, and then we have our farm stand. So every week on Sundays, we're open from 3 to 7. Folks can come, they can shop, they can visit the animals, they can take a farm tour. We often have activities for kiddos. We welcome maybe 100, 150 visitors every Sunday at the farm stand. We have U-picks, so a customer can come, walk through the fields, pick their own blackberries, pick their own tomatoes. We accept all kinds of payment at the farm stand, so food stamps, WIC coupons, senior farmers market vouchers, double bucks. We have not changed our prices in 7 years. One of our goals is to make the food really accessible to everybody. All right, that's the land stewardship program. So food equity program, we believe that access to healthy and fresh foods is a human right. So we really take this program seriously, and we have done this work since day one. But we really kicked it into high gear in 2020 when some data from Feeding America came out that our state has the highest rates of child food insecurity in the country. And we were really alarmed by that and think that that's pretty unacceptable. So in that year, we increased all of our donations. We started working with organizations that focus specifically on providing food to kids and families. So we get our food out into the community a variety of different ways. One is our Food for All program. So that's us taking our produce and our seedlings and donating that into the community, working with 27 different organizations who we collaborate with to strengthen food security. So you can see our apples going out to a free pantry, a box of greens going out to the Eddy House, and then our seedlings go out to school gardens through Urban Roots and through a network of community gardens. So we not only donate the fresh produce, but we also take that fresh produce through this program, Together We Thrive, and we turn it into ready-made meals and then donate the meals. We started to do this because when we would donate to the Eddy House Youth Shelter, they told us they really enjoyed having the produce, but they didn't really have anybody there who knew what to do with it, so some of it was getting wasted. So in this picture, Melissa, she's one of our staff. She's also a chef, so she started to take the produce, take it into the kitchen, and instead of then leaving, she would stay, unpack the box, and start prepping it into a meal. So who's ever there on the days that she is there, whether it be staff or residents, she'll bring them in. They'll be her sous chefs. They cook the meal together. She does kind of an impromptu cooking demonstration lesson. They make a meal. They all sit down, eat it together, and then the leftovers get to go into the fridge. And she also runs a group of volunteers on Thursdays that meet at the Buddhist Center, do the same thing. They take our produce, make a couple hundred meals every week, and then donate those right into the community. And her and the volunteers made a cookbook with all of these recipes, because cooking for 50, 100 people is not super easy. So there might be other people in the community that want to do this, and now we have this free resource with the cookbook for others to be able to do this as well. We have our Serving Our Seniors program, and that's in partnership with the City of Reno. So we work together to strengthen food security among seniors specifically. So we do our produce distribution at Reno Housing Authority senior residences and the Veterans Guest House. We also do gardening with seniors, and we do lots of weekly workshops during the season that have to do with healthy lifestyle, cooking, nutrition, cooking for one, different topics that seniors have told us they would like some help learning. Part of that program is also the Paradise Park Community Garden. So the city of Reno asked us to take over the management of that garden and make it a welcoming space for seniors. So we retrofitted the entire garden, built really tall garden boxes that are easier for seniors to work in. And we work with the activity center there at Paradise Park. And now we host a lot of our senior workshops in this space. And then we have the Healthy Corner Store Initiative. That's in partnership with Northern Nevada Public Health. So this is us providing our produce at a really low cost to 2 different corner stores that Public Health is working with to provide healthy food alternatives, because these stores are in food desert neighborhoods where folks are doing a lot of their shopping. So here is the young man who owns the Vassar Market, and he's showcasing the first fresh piece of produce he ever sold. These zucchinis that this man bought with some sandwiches. It's a really interesting program. It's fun to see our produce in a case with weird hard-boiled eggs and tall cans of beer and various things, but that's been a really fun program. Okay, third program is our education program. We have about 500 volunteers that help us with all of our programs, and we don't view volunteers as just free labor, but we see them as an opportunity to teach somebody about regenerative agriculture. So they help us with all of our work. We have our beginning intern program, so we hire the young people to come work on the farm, but we also partner with other farms. In the left there, that's Matt, and he was an apprentice with the Desert Farming Initiative through UNR. And he would work 1 day a week at our farm to help learn different skills and to help us with that weekly labor. We do lots of advocacy, policy work, farm tours, outreach. I have spoken with our senators, have hosted groups of legislators at the farm. Anytime I get the chance to talk about small farming in Nevada, I will take that chance. We got to put our input into the Farm Bill and what our legislators could do to help support Nevada farmers in terms of the Farm Bill. I've given tours to White House staff and groups of children and everything in between. We work with FFA and 4-H. So the young lady on the right, her geese are at the farm, and she won about 12 ribbons at the recent poultry show for her geese. And then we have FFA kids and their baby goats right there. And this really helps kids who have an interest in animal husbandry but cannot have a goat in their backyard. So we're happy to house these animals and have the kids learn with us. And it also really helps us because all of our animals are super friendly because they've been tortured by small children from the day of their birth. So all of our animals are friendly and can be approached by anybody who comes to the farm. And then we also do lots of workshops every year on topics like composting, fruit tree pruning, beekeeping, medicinal herbs, things like that. And then our last program is Arts and Healing. We believe that the farm is a place that inspires creativity and healing. So we have eco-art opportunities where people can come, feel inspired, create artwork at the farm. We do walking meditations. We do movement classes. We have something called the Climate Cafe in partnership with a local therapist. In recent years, she's been noticing she has a lot of clients with anxiety about climate change. She approached us and asked if she could do her group therapy sessions at the farm, noticing just within herself a sense of hope, a sense of less daunting anxiety talking about climate change when she has the groups at the farm versus having the groups at her office. All right, so then a few metrics from our last season. So 2024, we donated about 4,000 prepared meals to community members in need. We donated 658 seedlings to school and community gardens. We worked with 27 community partner organizations, collaborating with them to strengthen food security. 2,000 hours were donated by volunteers. We taught 43 free workshops to the public, educating more than 500 people, and we donated more than 6,000 pounds of produce to our community partners. All right, so that's the update. And before I get into the vision for the future, just want to see if does anybody have any questions about our programming or what we've been up to in the past 8 years.
Commissioner Kearney here. Yes, the regenerative
Yeah.
agriculture grazing, that's amazing. I'm wondering if this is a model and if we cannot incorporate this into future parcels of land. That's a tiny little thumbprint, but that's producing an amazing return, and in just a few years, relative. So that's my first question. The second is, where can I get that cookbook?
Oh, words to my ears. And this is why we call it Park Farm, because we envision it, this is Park Farm at Betsy Collin Donnelly Park, but there could be Park Farm at Rancho, there could be Park Farm at any public park. So thank you for saying that. That is our big vision for the future. The cookbook, I can send you a digital copy.
I'll buy it, right?
We will give it to you.
I'll buy it.
Okay. I will find your email and I will send you a link.
Mark Newman for the record. Number one is, a lot of people that have not lived in the area for a long time have no idea where Mayberry is. I went to Roy Gom and also Hunter Lake, grew up in that area and graduated from Reno High. Knew the people that owned that farm when I grew up. But here or there, you should tell everybody that where you're located in the west part of Reno and how to get to it. And I visited your farm numerous times, never met you actually personally, but dealt with your staff. You give monthly emails. I receive them every month from your thing, and you sell plants and trees and flowers and everything else. We need to put that out as well. I think what you have going on is a great program, and it's a wonderful farm, and it's very beautiful actually to visit.
Thank you.
It's nice to be out there.
Thanks.
So just a couple little, maybe you want to pass it around, because I don't even see it in here of email or how to get on your email listing.
Okay.
So we need you need to get that out to the public that what's available.
Okay.
Because you got a great program going on out there.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's very fun to have visitors like you who have lived in the area forever and to hear stories about their shenanigans in the field when they were kids. And I've received lots of different photos over the years of a friend of mine, her grandpa ranched there, and I have pictures of her in the 80s on horseback in the field. And it's
I've only lived here since '62.
Right, any other questions
This
so
is
far?
Commissioner Day. Yeah, I kind of second what Commissioner Newman had said, that I drive by there from time to time, and yeah, that's a community garden, that's nice. Didn't really understand at all the depth of what you have going on there, as far as learning opportunities, providing food to the community and so forth. It's just, wow, that's impressive. And also, how do you get on your mailing list? What are your, how do we reach you or you reach us and tell us what's going on?
Okay, I'm going to leave a packet with you that has our brochure that has all that information. We definitely aren't great at getting on the news, so that's a goal for this coming year, to get the news to come out more often. And they definitely will. That's on us to not invite them to come and take footage of our different programs and when the farm stand is there. So that's definitely something we're going to work on, is getting more public press about what we're doing.
Thank you.
Commissioner Newman, one more time. You do have a blanket email that goes out once a month. If you requested, as I went down and bought milkweed plants for the monarch butterflies and put them in my backyard. So but they sell plants, flowers, vegetables. You can go in there and literally walk through the whole thing and pick your own fruits and vegetables as you want. It's a wonderful program. It's just not acknowledged enough, and it needs to more, because they could develop, there's a lot of land still to be developed in that ranch.
Perfect segue about for what I'm going to say next. So our vision for the future, here you can see the property, you can see our farm and the south pasture. And here's a different view. So in the blue line is the current, our 5-acre farm, and the yellow line is the historic orchard that we've begun to manage in 2024. The green line is the landscaped park on the corner of McCarran and Mayberry. And then the pink line is the south pasture. So we would love to continue our stewardship of this park by taking on the south pasture for a regenerative grazing demonstration project. So we envision Betsy Collin Donnelly Park as a holistic example of regenerative agriculture in Nevada, showcasing how innovative practices can address land degradation, preserve agrarian heritage, and enhance community education. Sounds pretty good, huh? Very excited about it. So historically, the South Pasture has been leased to for-profit conventional ranchers through a bidding process. That lease is currently expired at the end of 2024. So in the next few months, the county will be looking for a new steward of the South Pasture. So I thought it would be perfect time to mention this vision to the commission, because we would really love to be the stewards of this land. And we propose continuing the same historic use of this pasture, which is grazing livestock. But just as we do with our 5-acre farm, we would do it using an organic, sustainable, regenerative approach rather than a conventional ranching approach. So with regenerative ag, there's a real careful consideration of what the land can handle, and bringing animals that will regenerate the land rather than take from the land. So a careful consideration of what the species are, how many animals, and the rotation of the grazing. Regenerative grazing, it's a land management strategy that mimics natural grazing patterns to restore soil health, promote biodiversity, and increase ecosystem resilience. So it focuses on rotational grazing of livestock to allow the pastures to rest and regenerate versus conventional grazing that often involves continuous grazing that doesn't allow the land to recuperate. It involves chemical inputs that lead to overuse, soil degradation, pollution, erosion, and poor ecosystem health. So the practices of regenerative ag not only improve the health of the pasture, but also create a resilient ecosystem that benefits the community and can mitigate climate change. So the addition of the South Pasture would expand our current regenerative agriculture demonstration to include not only the annual, perennial, and tree fruit cultivation that we do, but it would also include a model of regenerative grazing and ranching all in one place, creating a truly unique and accessible educational opportunity for the community. So why regenerative ag matter to Washoe County? So I poked around in the county's climate action plan and found some bullet points that really show that our demonstration project is in alignment with the county's climate action plan. So I found this bullet point, sequestering carbon through improved soil practices, reducing chemical runoff and protecting water quality, educating the community on biodiversity preservation and sustainable agriculture, and demonstrating leadership in climate resilience and land stewardship. So these bullet points are pulled right out of the climate action plan. So I think that really demonstrates that our grazing demonstration plan would bolster this plan that the county is working on, and shows that it would be a really good partnership between us and the county to make this happen. I have some letters of support that I will leave with you all. I'll just name them out real quick. So these are letters of support for our project. I have one from Washoe County Commissioner Alexis Hill, Assemblywoman Serena LaRue Hatch, Kevin Piper, who's the Executive Director of the Nevada Association of Conservation Districts, Jim Schaefer with Washoe Story Conservation District, Chuck Shembre, who's a regenerative ag consultant and soil scientist with Understanding Ag, and Lisa Peterson Trujillo, who is a neighbor. Her property butts up against the south pasture. So, Reno Food Systems, we are uniquely qualified to steward this land, and we believe our regenerative practices can transform the south pasture into a thriving example of sustainable agriculture, benefiting both the environment and the community. So I just wanted to introduce the idea today, but I really would like to continue the conversation to figure out how we can work together to make this vision a reality. So I will leave kind of a detailed project proposal and the letters of support with you all. But I can answer any questions now.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
Sean Hill. Thank you for your presentation. And this is not to put you on the spot, but I applaud you. Congratulations on the USDA grant. It's really exciting. It's really exciting what you're doing. I also live in West Reno. If you grow into the additional space for the grazing demonstration area, my question is, I guess I'm curious how you're funded and how you're going to be able to sustain that growth, and whether or not there would be funding attached to that, or what your plans are for growing sustainably for your own organization.
I have some grants kind of lined up to apply for this funding. It's a little tricky. So I've tried to get funding for it, but of course, the funding can't come through if we don't have approval of the use of the land. So it's been a little chicken or egg. It's been a few years that I've been trying to figure out how to make this happen. So I do have some pretty stable grant funding, if we are allowed to use the land, through the National Association of Conservation Districts. They have a planning grant, so I would see this project being a planning period that would have planning grant funding associated. And then that same grant pool through the National Association of Conservation Districts has then an implementation grant. So my first plan is to go for those two pools of funding. And I have it on pretty good authority that if I wrote these grants, that we would be awarded them. This is another pool of funding that Nevada doesn't go for. Nevada has never gone for this particular grant. So I've been told if we saw a project from Nevada going for this funding, this is a perfect fit for it. Most likely you would get that funding. So that's the first angle. I also put in a grant through the Truckee River Fund for such a project to see what the interest would be, and I got a similar response. We can't obviously give you the money because you don't have approval for the land, but we are interested in funding this were you to have approval for the land.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark Newman for the record, Commissioner Newman. I grew up here. I did the 4-H programs as well when I was a youth in the 60s and 70s. Are you willing to open up this piece of property to allow the kids within the community to maybe have their own sheep or goats or cattle on that property through the 4-H program? And that might be an additional funding as well, because the 4-H program is a national program, and they have extra funds that might be able to help you out.
Absolutely. So being a nonprofit, we get to make decisions that aren't based on the bottom line in terms of the land. And this is why I am a nonprofit farmer, because I get to look at the land and not say, what can you do for me? What money can you make me? And that's something that for-profit farmers and ranchers fortunately have to do. And I'd prefer to look at the land and say, what can we do for you? You've done enough for us. Take a rest. What can we do to make you your best self? So when we're choosing what animals we're going to have on the property, we get to make decisions like your suggestion there, rather than what profit can I make from these animals. So in our planning year, we would do exactly this and start to reach out to 4-H, FFA, and figure out how we could partner with those groups to have educational livestock at the farm. Another idea that we have is to figure out the goats that are used for fire suppression activities. Maybe they could live at the farm and then are used in public lands to do the weeding for fire mitigation. So we would be working on these partnerships during the planning period.
One other question for you again, Newman, for the record. What kind of lease, years-wise, are you looking in for leasing so that you can actually get some of your other grants? Are you looking for a 5-year, 10-year, 20, 30-year lease? How many years are you looking at to get for a lease of the property, or forever, 99 years or whatever?
So our lease on the 5 acres, it's, we've been told that the longest lease option is the 5 years. So we did our initial 5 years, and then we re-upped that in 2022. So a similar lease to that, we would be open to that. Of course, a longer lease is nice, but the 5-year lease is what we worked with Colleen to set up, and that's been working well for us.
I'm not sure how the Washoe County, I'm not a lawyer. I know the city of Reno leased Sky Tavern for 30 years so that Sky Tavern could get funding. I dealt with Sky Tavern for 22 plus years now. Commissioner Garcia and her kids go up skiing with me on the weekends. So I'm just curious on what kind of, and I'm not sure, I would have to ask legal, what is the years that we can lease a property to such a nonprofit? Is it only 5-year, or can we lease for longer?
Lindsay Liddell for the record. I believe in NRS Chapter 244, which addresses county property, there's some language regarding leasing to nonprofits for up to 99 years or something like that. So there's a lot of leeway, but I would caution you not to go too far into that subject because it's not itemized on the agenda.
Well, as working with nonprofits over the years, for funding, to receive funding for such as park project, some people don't want to give $100 million if there says, oh, well, in 1 year, it's bye-bye. I'll give you $100 million if you get a 10-year lease. $100 million a year, whatever. I'll give you $1 million a year if you can get it for 10 years and run your project. So the question is, not only to you, but to her as well, is what is your long-term projection, and what is the long-term finances coming in if you get it for longer than a 5-year lease? So between you and her.
Yeah, I'm happy to discuss that whenever the right time is, but we intend to be there in perpetuity, just like Betsy intended that land to be open to the public and stay in agriculture in perpetuity.
So what are you looking at? A 5-year lease, 10-year? What are you asking from? This is a commissioner, and then we have to bring it to our county commissioners and say, yes, we go for this, or no.
Yeah, Commissioner Newman, I think the path forward here would be to send this back to the Washoe County Open Space and Parks Regional Management Group and sort that out, and then bring it back to the commission for with a recommendation, but leave it up to the staff to see what's the best fit for both the county and the food systems program to see what can be worked out and bring it back to us.
I'm good with that, and thank you very much for your presentation.
You're welcome.
It is a beautiful place to visit.
Thank you.
And it needs to be put out more to the public on what's available out there and your location, and get the monthly, everybody to be on a monthly email, because they're short, they're sweet. So, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much for that.
All right,
Very
thank you so much.
Again, Stephanie DRC, your Operations Superintendent for Parks. I just wanted to close out the presentation by opening up for questions of us. Seeing none?
Well, as our chair said, is something that you have to work out with between them, and what we're looking at on how many years they want to actually use the property. It's a wonderful program, and it does teach the youth and bring it to us on our board so that we can actually make a good determination to bring to the county commissioners.
Certainly. We are actually under our current lease until May 1st, so we have a little bit of time to take in all of the information, and we'll certainly look at all opportunities available and make a determination from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
you.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 10, recommendation to adopt the revised 2024 Rancho San Rafael Regional Park Master Plan. Revisions include an expansion of 400 non-paved parking stalls in the north parking zone, and language stating that when new trees are added to the pasture area or the disc golf course, the Great Reno Balloon Races should be consulted on tree location and/or species to ensure no impediments on their event for possible action.
Thank you. For the record, Faye Marie Picard, Park Planner with Washoe County. The item before you today is revisions to the Park Master Plan for Rancho San Rafael. The original master plan was brought to Park Commission in November of last year for adoption and was adopted. Since that time, Great Reno Balloon Race raised some concerns and issues regarding the master plan and the potential for impacts on their future event at Rancho San Rafael. And from those raised concerns, we've made some minor revisions to the master plan itself with proposed coordination with Great Reno Balloon Races to include within this park master plan. Our intention with these proposed minor revisions is to continue to work collaboratively, not only with Great Reno Balloon Races, but our additional stakeholders and the public at large. My goal today is to provide background on our public outreach process, the planning process, detail our outreach conducted with our stakeholders and the public, specific engagement Washoe County has had with Great Reno Balloon Races, some of the addressed issues that have been raised by Great Reno Balloon Races, where that's incorporated in our adopted master plan from November, and the proposed revisions that we have since those conversations with Great Reno Balloon Race. Let me see if I can get this to change. It's on. There we go. Thank you. So one of the key drivers that I want to highlight within this master plan process is our stakeholder and public outreach. It was a robust public outreach process. Rancho San Rafael is one of the largest parks that we have within the area, totaling 575 acres. In 2002, we had over 3.5 million visitors to the park. It's known regionally for its special events, as well as the amenities that are found within the park. And it's loved by many, which, knowing that this is a frequented park by the public, and not only our public and the stakeholders, we really wanted to make sure we're capturing those voices within this master plan process. Wanting to highlight some of the dates that we had with our stakeholder meetings and our public outreach. This was done in 2 phases. Our first phase in that red box to the left is showing our stakeholder and public outreach. This includes initial conversations after we hired Dig Studio to come forward and help Washoe County develop this master plan. This is our touch base with the stakeholders prior to our public outreach and engagement to make sure we're addressing key issues that they might identify within the master plan prior to bringing this out to the public for vetting and ideas. Our phase one ended up being kicked off in April. After that discussions with our initial stakeholder outreach, we end up going to the public to verify the ideas that we've heard initially and to have our public survey that was open for a month. From that information that we received from the public, we compile and summarize that data in that first phase, and we make recommendations based off of those initial inputs. We then move on to our second phase of stakeholder and public outreach, again, verifying the information that we received during our first phase of public outreach to our stakeholders, making sure that's information that they can verify within their own expertise, field of expertise. And then we also then go back out to the public with that critiqued information to make sure we're hitting points that we've heard from that initial phase of input and making sure that carries forward into the next phase, or making sure that we are needing to verify or change aspects of that master plan. From that second phase of public outreach that we did for our surveys, we end up compiling that data again, going through the recommendation phase, and then we move on to the draft plan. One thing I want to note for our specific stakeholder groups, we had additional one-on-one stakeholder meetings outside of our group stakeholder meetings during this phase before the draft plan was created or as the draft plan is being created, specifically with the Great Reno Balloon Race, the Arboretum, Reno Disc Golf Association, and UNR, because they'd be the most impacted by a lot of the suggestions that are found within this master plan. Specific dates that we've had our meetings with Great Reno Balloon Race was during our stakeholder meetings. Again, these are our group meetings that we held in April and July of this year. Our public meetings were allowed for them to come as well and advertised, and additional one-on-one meetings that we had prior to the master plan adoption. We did have 2 additional one-on-one meetings with Great Reno Balloon Race prior to the plan being brought forth to Park Commission in November. During that last conversation that we had with them, it was perceived that we had an agreement for what this could look like for the final plan for the master plan for Rancho. But from that time, we ended up getting some feedback from Great Reno Balloon Race that there are raised concerns within the master plan. And since that time, we've had 2 consecutive meetings with Great Reno Balloon Race on the 2nd and the 18th of December, coming to the final master plan that we have for revisions that will be presented shortly. Some of the main concerns that were brought up by Great Reno Balloon Race are reduced public access, claims for unsafe parking, claims for increased safety risks, limited event space, and jeopardized event growth. And a lot of the things that we found that Great Reno Balloon Race was bringing up during these conversations was similar to what we found throughout the master plan process and incorporated within the adopted plan. For instance, in our stakeholder workshops, we understood that there was support to facilitate community events, to increase the public access, including over to the university, over on McCarran and Sierra Street, the ability to establish long-term funding support partnerships, the ability to continue to perpetuate having large community events and regional events and day use, and potential user conflicts that may come from the development of the master plan, but making sure we're balancing the needs of our stakeholders as we move forward. Within our summary for our public outreach after the survey, 61% of the public viewed that most of the park was accessible, but there was 35% that said there needed to be some minor improvements to the park in order to improve the park itself. Some of those suggestions are more signage, better access to buildings, bathrooms, trails for people with disabilities, restrooms and water stations, and better transit and pedestrian cycle access to the park. During our second phase of stakeholder workshops, again, the reiteration of needing to have a more robust parking diagram was included and also included within the final master plan. Concerns with Great Reno Balloon Race wanting to make sure that there's a full build out this master plan and how that impact might be to their parking, and also requests to not only just look at the Great Reno Balloon Race, but also special events in general that could be held at Rancho San Rafael in the future. Something that was added to this master plan where we originally thought we could have some flex parking for the Great Reno Balloon Race and for our special events was in that corner of the northwest corner of McCarran and Virginia. Within our second phase of our public outreach, we did have a survey question asking if there was from 3 options, leaving the disc golf course as is, creating a flex parking within that corner or having a indoor tennis facility would be something that's wanted by the public. Over 80% wanted to see some kind of development within this area, which ended up having us include the indoor tennis facility and pickleball courts within the final master plan. So this did deter some of the areas that we had for some flex parking that we originally had proposed for our special events. Just wanting to highlight some of the issues or some of the responses to the issues that we had from Great Arena Balloon Race. For public accessibility, this is one of our diagrams that we have included within the master plan. The blue is showing the added pedestrian paths within the park to have better circulation. The yellow shows the added pedestrian lighting on the main drag of Rancho San Rafael Road. Our enhanced crossings that we have identified over Sierra Street, North McCarran, as well as the improvements that we have to the under tunnel crossing that currently exists with its improvements to that existing amenity, as well as an added pedestrian bridge that could be proposed for the future. Overlaying that access routing with the parking plan that we have, what's shown in orange is existing and expanded paved parking, and then what's shown in yellow in the diagram would be the flex parking that we would have incorporated within the future. During our conversations with Great Arena Balloon Race, we also identified, or they identified, some issues with having trees located within the pasture area. Notably, it would be deteriorating, or it would deter the ability to have safe conditions for their pilots, as well as hazardous conditions for their pilots and for the viewing of the public. Within the master plan itself, there were some trees that were identified to the south of the fields that are used currently. So we removed some of those trees that were identified within that master plan to ensure that we are increasing safety for the event. So two of the revisions that we have within the master plan that wasn't already adopted within the November plan is the increasing of 400 flexed parking spaces within the north parking zone that's south of the Reno Ball facility. And then we also added additional language to the master plan within the implementation matrix that whenever there's trees included within the pasture area, as well as the disc golf area, that Great Reno Balloon Races are consulted for tree location and species to ensure no impediment on their event. So just wanted to show the major event parking diagram that was adopted in the November plan. If you notice, the north parking zone includes items 1, 14, 13, and 10. 10 is where we identified the ability to have additional flex parking. And what is shown before you right now is the revised version of the major event parking diagram. Overall, that gives us an additional 400 flex parking spaces within that north parking zone. And then overall, for the full build-out of the master plan, it would allow us to have a net positive of 103 parking stalls, so more than what the park currently offers. Showing the highlighted language that we have for any of the tree positionings within the pasture area and the disc golf area. On our implementation matrix in the back of the master plan, we've included specific language saying that we need to consult Great Reno Balloon Race for any species or location of trees within both the pasture area and the disc golf area as well. I do have a possible motion in front of you. I do want to note that within the staff report, it has a motion stating that it would be going to Board of County Commissioners past this commission. That is incorrect. The correct motion is upon you, and it states that you can adopt this master plan. That's within your authority as a park commission. But we are trying to see that adoption of the two revisions to the master plan, which is those 400 flex parking spaces within the northern parking zone, as well as that added language for consulting Great Reno Balloon Race for any addition of trees within the pasture area and the disc golf course. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hi there, Commissioner Hill. Were you able to preserve the indoor pickleball tennis courts?
Correct.
Those are still in there?
Yeah, so during this process, when we were going through looking at changes, we wanted to make sure they're minor. Anything that was going to be major in integrity or changing a large amount of the plan would have to have us go back out to public for any changes. So we wanted to make sure what was going to be proposed is acceptable by what has been publicly vetted.
Mm-hmm.
The follow-up, so when the last month, and we had discussed it, the indoor tennis courts only, and the pickleball was going to be outside. We asked if some of that couldn't be put in as indoor pickleball as well, because pickleball is becoming a very big sport for a lot of the aging community. It's easier to play for them than it is tennis.
Right, and I'm trying to remember the numbers on the pickleball court, but I want to say it was 8 indoor, or it was 4 indoor courts and 8 outdoor pickleball, but
There was no indoor according to
But-
plans.
just to clarify too, this is all conceptual, so as far as like the specifics of what this building looks like and how it'd be functioned, that's going to be the next phase in implementation.
Okay, so the next one is I've been to the balloon races probably since they started with my kids when they were babies. Now I'm taking my grandchildren, and took my grandchildren and children, all of us went to the light show. You're only adding 103 parking spaces?
We're going to be adding 400 flex parking spaces to the northern parking zone. Brandon, if you could bring up that diagram again, just so I can show that. But once that full build-out of the master plan occurs, it would be a net of 103 parking spaces total for the park. So what we're adding for the addition in this master plan is 400 flex parking spaces next to the Reno Disc Golf area, which would be south of the sports complex.
The only reason I ask is I went to the light show and we ended up parking out at the dog park at the far west side of the park. And literally took almost half an hour walk to get down to the light show because there was no parking. And and Rancho San Rafael is actually one of the only parks within Washoe County that literally comes close to paying for itself every year. And we have great events there, and there's a lot great things that go on there. And the lack of parking is the biggest problem for people.
Right.
And we're adding 400 parking spaces?
It's 400 in addition to our major event parking diagram that we had previously. So if we go to the
That
parking
one with the orange and yellow?
it would be number 18. So this is the original proposal in the master plan. So it's circled in red is missing that additional 400 flex parking spaces. But what I do want to show is our paved parking area.
That one.
Shown in orange, and then what would be flex in yellow. So within the actual adopted master plan, there's expansion of the parking at the museum. Same with that flex parking area that would be paved next to the maintenance yard. And then there'd be additional parking for when the Arboretum ends up expanding on the corner of McCarran and Sierra Street. So this is the proposed full design of parking for the park once it's fully implemented.
And the major problem that the balloon races are having is all that open field is putting trees in it. Is that what I'm understanding? If we do not put trees in and put additional parking in, but still allow that whole open area to be used by the balloon races, that there would be satisfied with that?
So in terms of the parking, the issues that we were having is that we'd be taking away parking spots from the November adoption plan by about 300, if I remember that correctly. So what we're wanting to make sure is the final plan, the final build-out has at least a zero change within the parking counts that it currently holds for whatever we're proposing for the future. The reality of this is that we'll have an additional 103 parking spaces than what it's showing currently. Specific to the tree count, we don't have anything proposed within the pasture area that would affect the balloon races, but we did have some in the design concepts on the perimeter. So we're just making sure that that added language is if we ever did anything within the pasture area or the disc golf zone, that those trees are being consulted on location to not affect the Great Reno Balloon Race event.
So my curiosity is, the Reno Balloon Race is against adding extra parking or adding more trees. Why is this being brought back again in front of us?
Yeah, if I may, Eric Crump, for the record, Washoe County Community Services Department. I think it's important, we have to go back in time. So this was obviously approved by this board. The only changes from that date of adoption and what you're seeing today are minor. So we were able, working with our consultant, to identify an additional, basically, flex parking area, so similar to how they use the pasture right now, to accommodate 400 cars. The net increase in parking is roughly only 100, but there's a big piece, and I don't have the number right on top of my head, but the net number of improved, like graded parking in parking lots is substantial. So parking and circulation were always in this plan. They're in this plan. What we wanted to do is to come back and bring those minor revisions. Again, that yellow area, that polygon in the yellow above McCarran is now slightly larger to accommodate 400 vehicles. And when we start doing things like planting trees, that type of thing, there's some language in the master plan that says we will coordinate. We love this event. We want to be good stewards as well. And I think it's important to say, what I'm hearing is they have problems. They don't have problems with this plan. They like this plan. We've worked. This is a great thing for everybody who's been involved, and the process worked. And I believe we do have some representatives, if I'm not mistaken, from Great Rainier Balloonists. You're welcome to ask them questions as well.
There are a bunch of people way in the back that are waving their hand. You can come up and sit in front. You don't have to be so bashful and shy sitting way in the back of the room.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Dake. I guess what I would like to hear from the Reno Balloon Race Group is, with all the public outreach meetings that were held prior to doing this, to come back and have to do it again after some actually very public comments that it was poorly done. I don't understand that progression, and if you could walk me through how that happened and some of this decision process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy Gilbert, one of the board members for the Great Reno Balloon Race. You want to know the process in terms, we heard in terms, I don't want to get into creating an issue here, but when they had the meetings, we were voicing our concerns on some issues, mainly parking. It's a free event. The only way that we can keep it a free event is to basically charge for parking. We have a lot of handicapped people that basically we needed to accommodate to be able to get them safely in the park, which was that northeast corner that we've been parking, which gets us close to the Cloud 9 area where people come and they watch the event, and a lot of it is elderly. So that was our big concern when it went away, and when we had gone to a meeting, first meeting early on in the northeast corner, we said we need that corner, and there was what I recall from being there is that was agreed that we were going to get the northeast corner, and that would be when I say northeast corner, it would be the northeast corner from McCarran and Sierra Street, where you see the Arboretum's new building. That corner is where we mainly park a lot of, we bring in a lot of volume in terms of parking there. So we understood walking away from that meeting, and I attended, we were going to be able to keep that area for us and for our parking. When we went to a public meeting with the public attending, that area was then removed, and we took pictures. We took pictures in the original meeting showing that it was going to be given to us, and then it was gone. So we said, wait a second here. This is, Pete, go ahead if you want. Do you want to open it up?
No,
okay.
finish up.
They want to know. Okay, and so that didn't address our issue with needing parking. Our event grows, so we need more parking because how many, 90,000, 120,000? We get a lot of people, and the event keeps growing. So we said to them, you're taking our parking away, and our event is getting bigger. So anyway, well, we didn't at that point feel heard, so we went to the public and said, okay, we have an issue here. We can't put the event on. So then we came back, and we met and we sat down and we had two really good meetings about what our concerns are. And so we got back some parking over on the north side, although to us, I mean, to me, I think it's dangerous at 4 a.m. having some people having to cross McCarran, but especially with one of the areas being narrowed down to one lane. But we got it worked out, and we got that extra increased parking. The other issue is you asked about the trees. The trees that were at issue was on the north side of the park before McCarran. There was added trees there and also on the south side of the open area. And that creates a danger issue for our balloonists because obviously with more trees, then they have to be, they have to get around them. And if you come to the event, you know that most of the landing is on the other side of McCarran. So then they would have to get over trees to get over to be able to hit their landings. So that was accommodated in the meetings. And so I think that to accommodate all parties' needs, I think that this, Pete can speak to this was a compromise that I think Great Reno Balloon Race felt that we could work with for the event. Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, yes, it does. And I appreciate that explanation because getting it out of the newspapers and, bits and
No,
pieces.
yeah, we were there.
It
And
was,
so that's what happened that I recall. And we appreciate that you're interested in helping us preserve this event for another, hopefully, 100 years.
This is a great Reno event, and it's just kind of disheartening that the process that we do, and not just Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, we do this same process. Park management does a great job of going out, getting public input. We have to do these master plans, this conceptual, where do we want to go with this thing in the future, this property? And they go to a lot of effort to get a lot of public input, and as the case was here as well. So it's a little concerning, I guess, to see that we missed the mark.
Well, I think that one of the issues is that we have really been proud of the fact that we have not had a major incident in terms of injuries, in terms of people getting hurt at this event. And we felt that the original proposed park plan had some concerns. We want to get people safely into the park. And so our biggest concern was really safety. It's 3 and 4 in the morning, and you got kids with parents with kids with little wagons, and we want to make sure that we have a very safe event that continues.
Nancy Gilbert.
Chair Dake.
Mark Newman for the record, Commissioner Newman. My main thing is we meet every other month. And last month, we didn't have anybody here. There was no direction given to us other than what we get from our staff. And our staff was telling us, yes, do this. We didn't hear from you. All of a sudden, our staff tells us to go with this, and we go with it, and all of a sudden, now it's a big deal.
Pete Copeland, Executive Director of the Great Reno Balloon Race. Just to comment on that, I don't really want to go back into how we got to here. There was certainly some miscommunication between the two organizations. We were never fully behind the plan when it came to the Open Space Committee. We were under the impression it was going to go to the Board of Directors later this month, actually. So we were under the impression that we still had time to work through it. And so that was the miscommunication between the two organizations, and that's all it was. That said, I think Nancy summed it up. We wanted to compromise on this plan, and we knew that if we dug our heels in, we would never win, and we didn't. That's not what our objective was. So what you saw before you may not look like a lot, but it meant a lot to us as an organization, and for us, it's all about putting this event on safely. And we can get there with where the current plan is. And I think that's what we are looking for today. There's a lot of work to get here. There's a lot of hard feelings, but we got it done, and we want to move forward, and we think this is best for the community.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Chair Dake.
Commissioner Joel has his hand raised on Zoom.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Joel for the record. So I do just want to kind of go back to this because it was very unprofessional, I felt, the way you guys handled it. So Nancy missed a big gap between the stakeholder meetings where she said that she thought that they were getting that upper field and the final plan that came to Parks Commission. And that was when that final plan was put out to the public for final comments. And we didn't get those comments. Our meeting is public. It's advertised a week ahead of time with the exact agenda of what we're voting on. And it's real easy to provide an email stating that you guys had some concerns so that we could review it as a commission when it came up. It's very easy to attend these meetings, either in person or Zoom and provide that comment. And it was crickets. And so
I think I commented on that. The comment was simply we weren't under the impression that that was at the meeting. We weren't under that impression.
Have the floor.
Yeah, we,
Excuse me, but Commissioner Joel has the floor right now.
So I've heard that you want to move on. You don't want to look at the back. I'd really love to hear, like, hey, we screwed up because we weren't paying attention to what was going on with this plan. And when we were suddenly, we found out that it, was approved, we went to the public in what I felt was a very unprofessional action, stating that the county is trying to shut down the event. And I realized that perhaps you guys didn't say those exact words, but you didn't stop some in the media from interpreting it that way. And I have not heard that, even the idea of that. There's an incredible amount of support for your event. We every year look at the sponsorship where we waive your park fees, and I believe actually even provide some cash sponsorship as well from the county commission. So I don't think it's a fair thing to say. And the last thing I want to point out is, if you look back at the 2002 plan and the 1990 plan, that Arboretum expansion is in both of those. And also most of the trees, I literally think the design consultant copied and pasted the tree layer from the old plan. So I don't understand how it hasn't been a problem for all these years for the plans that were in effect up until November of last year. And then suddenly this new plan, which is based a lot on those old plans, it was crickets when we approved it. And then after the fact, instead of coming to staff and voicing your concerns, you went to the public. And I have a lot of faith in staff. If you had have brought that up to either us on the commission or to staff, I'm absolutely positive that some of those concerns would have been listened to. These are very minor changes that are coming up for a master plan that there's a really good chance is not going to even see this level of implementation based on the 1990 plan and the 2002 plan. So I'm very disappointed in you guys. I think it's very unfortunate that the county had to spend $3,000 in a change order with the design consultant to do this after the fact. And I know when you guys come up for your sponsorship request, I'm certainly going to ask that it be reduced by $3,000 to make that up. And I get that, you have an event to put on. Anytime I hear a nonprofit, declaring, woe is me, the sky is falling, we're going to go out of business, I pull up their IRS filings, and, you guys are modestly healthy on the event, looking back at several years of your IRS filings. So, it's not like you're about to go out of business or anything. So I'm just super disappointed. I have no problem with these small adjustments, but how we ended up here is very disappointing.
Thank you, Commissioner Joel.
Thank you. I agree.
Commissioner Jones has his hand raised on Zoom.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
Commissioner Jones here for the record. I agree with a number of comments from lots of folks here. I agree with my colleague, Commissioner Joel here. And some of the comments, it's not healthy when we go through a process, a lengthy process, and there all of a sudden when something's already approved, and these are all very public meetings. I have a public address, email address. We're all public. And it's unfortunate that I find out through the newspaper that the Great Balloon Race, which is a great event, I'm all for the the Great Balloon Race. Make no mistake, it's a great event. A lot of people come and enjoy this event, but the process that we got here is not a good process. It's unfortunate. Hopefully, we can move ahead and be partners and stakeholders and move this event ahead. One thing that was talked about in the motion was that the Great Balloon Race will be consulted for a tree location. And that's fine, but who's going to have the final say? I don't want to see a situation where the Great Balloon Race or a pilot has heartburn for particular trees based on where he's at the start of an event, and then we start having a problem. How is that going to be resolved prior to any launch or facility taking place? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones.
Commissioner Newman, okay, go ahead.
Nancy, could you respond to that? I think the tree thing does warrant an explanation as to how this is going to go on for the next many years on the park wanting to plant a tree now and then versus consulting with the balloon race folks to decide what goes where and where it goes. And I think I saw in one of your diagram there was a zone we're talking about, so it doesn't refer to the entire Rancho San Rafael Regional Park. It refers to specific areas. Is that correct?
Yes. It really is around the field. If you've attended the event, we have a lot of the balloons rise from the field, and then they go over to the other side of McCarran. We try because it's a location where they can participate in the event, the race, while keeping the balloons close to the event so that people can see the balloons actually compete.
There we go.
So if you see here, there's fields 1 through 4. Do you see that? And so the north side of the field above field 4, if you see that, there was tree plantings there that we wanted to keep. We wanted to have input to keep the tree, if they're going to be planting trees, keep them low enough so that they don't impact the balloons rising to be able to go over to the other side of McCarran. And then the others around field 3 and 2, they wanted to add more trees. And so we were asking that if they put trees there, that we also, because there's a lot, we have almost anywhere from 90 to 120 balloons inflating in that area, and it's really tight. So you want to have the area open and not have where if they're starting to inflate, they're hitting trees, because they have to deal with wind, obviously. So you want to keep the trees low. And so we wanted to have input to be able, if there is going to be tree planting, to have species that are not tall trees. Provide shade, but not tall trees.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? And in terms,
It does, in this, Commissioner Dake. I think you got the gist of the concern with this commission is not so much these small changes that could have been done very easily at the last meeting and just write them in. It's how the thing went down, and we all saw these issues in the news and in the newspaper rather than hear it through our regular channels of information as a park commissioner. And that was a bit disturbing. But
fair enough. We attended the meetings. Pilar was at a number of them. We did voice our concerns, and we didn't feel like we were being heard. And so at some point, the board made a decision saying, like, for example, the November 22nd meeting, we had no idea that that was going to be the final decision. We didn't know that. We thought that there was going to be a later meeting with you. So we found out afterwards that it had already been approved, and it's like, oh my gosh, we didn't know that. So that was not communicated. There was a lot of miscommunications, but we did attend the early meetings. And I do have on my phone, we took pictures of what they showed us in our private meeting and what they put up to the public, which was a completely different layout. And Pilar, go ahead.
That is true. I mean, I attended several of the meetings, and I also attended our individual private meetings. And the pictures that were shown to us in our private meetings where we said, okay, this is something that's workable, and then what was presented afterwards to the public was totally different. And so that was what was a little upsetting. And like Pete had said earlier, we don't want to go backward, we want to look forward. I mean, we thank the county, we thank the commissioners, we thank you for all the support that we've received so far. I mean, I've done the event personally for 35 years. So, I mean, I've loved this event, like you said, Commissioner. I mean, I've raised my children that came in strollers, my grandchildren that, are now teenagers. I mean, and everybody, the entire family loves the event. But what we were looking at is like, we were wanting to be a good partner. And we were feeling, as the board, that we did not get that good faith. And so that's the reason why the board decided to go to the public.
This is Chair Joel, or I'm sorry, no longer Chair. This is Commissioner Joel. So again, you say that there was, in the stakeholder meetings, you saw different stuff, but the plan that went to the public by your own accord, you said you were upset with.
And we did tell them.
We voiced it then at that meeting.
We did.
Well, I don't think that was done clearly because it wasn't relayed to us in the staff report. And there were plenty of opportunities to let us know at the meeting, which you acknowledged you knew about, since you said you thought it wasn't the final one, although it said very clearly the adoption, of the final plan in the agenda that was posted. So I just want to, I just want to hear that you take some responsibility for the county having to spend extra money on this because you guys made a mistake, and an apology to staff for all the extra time they've had to spend on this. That's all I want to hear. And then let's move on.
Commissioner Newman, for the record, the whole thing of this is our meetings are public. County commissioner meetings are public. CAB meetings are public. It was out there, and you were notified. You said, oh, you have private meetings with staff. Were any of us here involved to even understand what was going on? No. Did you involve us last month or 2 months ago when we had the vote? Were any of you here to even voice an opinion? No. You brought it to the public and said, oh, we're just horrible and mean. We would love to work with you. Like I said, I've taken my children since they were little. I've taken my grandchildren. We're more than willing to work with you. And you are running this through. Thank you. Sorry. That's it.
We're not, I think as a group.
I would like to,
Yeah,
excuse me.
I apologize.
If I could address the commissioners, we've kind of beat this pretty hard here, and I think we've made our concerns, our frustrations clear on how this went. And we can continue on this, and it really isn't going to move this thing forward any. Obviously, some miscommunications on both sides, and what we were presented as the commission wasn't what this group thought was going to be presented, and for whatever reason, that's what we saw. What's before us today is, do we want to move ahead with this recommendation from the park staff? So if we have any other comments that don't just keep following in the same theme here, if there's any other comments, I'd certainly like to hear them from the board.
Or from the public.
We'll get there.
I'll make the motion that we approve the new recommendations.
We have to get.
And then go second, and then it goes to public.
Okay. Go ahead.
I made the motion, I'll make the motion to accept the new recommendations. Hopefully in the future that this doesn't happen again.
Do we have a second?
This is Commissioner Jones. Can you read the motion, please? Commissioner Newman?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Dake. I'll read it for the
And again,
record.
just Famory Picard for the record. I do want to note that the recommendation within the staff report is incorrect, so
Yeah, we'll fix it here.
here's the correct motion on the screen.
Move to recommend the revised 2024 Rancho San Rafael Park Master Plan. Revisions include expansion of 400 non-paved parking stalls in the north parking zone and language stating when new trees are added to the pasture area or the disc golf course, the Great Reno Balloon Races should be consulted on tree location and/or species to ensure no impediment on their event.
Thank you. That's the motion.
Commissioner Dake, I think that it's an important word that I didn't hear is adopt. You said move to recommend, and I think we need to make sure that the motion is, we are moving to adopt the revised plan.
The motion to adopt the revised plan.
Yep.
There we go.
And we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Commissioner
This
Kearney.
Commissioner.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kearney.
I second the movement to adopt the revised 2024 Rancho San Rafael Regional Master Park Plan with revisions as we've already discussed.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments?
I do.
I have a question on the motion.
I have Rod Dimmitt here in Chambers. Rod, you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. My name is Rod Dimmitt. I'm with the May Arboretum Society, and we were one of the stakeholders as well. And we wanted to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to participate in this process. Famory, thank you so much. The folks at Dig Studios, we think that they did an outstanding job. For those of you that aren't familiar, the May Arboretum Society is the nonprofit that supports the Arboretum. And we're excited for this new plan. You know, when we look at the vision that you guys have put forth, we are really excited about that. One of the things we're most excited about is that the plan, actually in the drawings of the plan, is the design for a new garden. It'll be the first garden in 30 years. This plan was developed with community stakeholders, and it's a 2.5-acre cactus and succulent garden. And for those of you that have lived here for a long time, you know we don't get a lot of rain. 7 inches of precipitation per year is about our average. This garden design is going to be a new garden that will really highlight low water use plants and how they can adapt rather to personals, individuals, homes, and home gardens. On behalf of the May Arboretum Society, we would like to fully endorse this plan, even with the revisions put forth today. We think this is going to be a great future for Rancho San Rafael Park, a great future for the Arboretum. I passed out business cards a little bit earlier, and we would like to offer the opportunity to do a presentation for y'all about what this new garden is entailed, or even better yet, invite you out to the Arboretum. We have been doing lunch and learn sessions with community members, and we'd love to have you come out, learn about the history of the design for the new garden, what the May Arboretum Society is doing for the Arboretum. Since 2017, we've contributed just about $1.5 million towards the operation of the Botanic Garden. That was my 2 cents. Thank you very much for letting me talk.
Thank you.
Questions?
You're Rod Dermott?
Rod Dimmitt?
Dimmitt. Dimmitt.
Yeah.
You're Rod.
I'm Rod.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner
I
Dake.
have no further public comment in Chambers. We're doing public comment. I have no public comment in Chambers, none on Zoom, so we could take it back to the board. And Commissioner Joel has his hand raised.
Thank you. Question for staff on this. So the only impact that I would see these proposed changes having, as far as like a stakeholder group would be, I guess, potentially the disc golf with that flex parking area on the north side, impacting some of the disc golf holes. So I guess just so we don't end up in the same situation, 3 days from now, where the disc golf goes to the media or something saying how they weren't listened to, and now they're impacted. Were they consulted on the changes that the balloon races requested with the parking up there?
Yes, for the record, Eric Rupp with Washoe County's Community Services Department. Yes, they were. We re-engaged with disc golf on the expansion of the parking lot and potential impacts. They're very flexible. There's other areas of the park, and they've been a great stakeholder to work with. They all have. So, yes, they have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Brandon, any other comments out there?
Public comments over. You guys could go ahead and do your vote. You made a motion and had a second.
Yep, so we'll take a vote on this as the motion was stated and restated. All in favor, designate by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Agenda item 11, presentation, discussion, and possible approval of a request for sponsorship of the 2025 Art Town Festival. Waived park facility rental and use fees, approximately $87,400 in consideration of Washoe County being recognized as a sponsor, and approve an agreement with the Art Town and for Art Town Festival 2025 events to be held at Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, July 1st through the 31st, 2025.
Thank you. Again, Stephanie DRC, Operations Superintendent for Parks. Today, we are bringing forth a presentation, discussion, and possible approval, again, for the request of sponsorship for the 2025 Art Town Festival at Rancho San Rafael Park, and an agreement with the organization for their festival events in 2025. A bit of background quickly from the staff report before I welcome them up, but Art Town has been inspiring community through the arts since 1996. They are widely known as an arts and culture leader in Northern Nevada, and they use their festival each year as a platform for a wide variety of culturally diverse and thoughtful performances. 75% of their events are free admission, and they offer events throughout the area for the entire month of July. So this year, Art Town is proposing to move the headline events that are usually scheduled at Wingfield Park and the Robert Z. Hawkins Amphitheater to Rancho San Rafael in the Nevada Farms and Families area. Small events will still be held at other locations. In exchange or in recognition of Washoe County sponsoring Art Town events, there's a host of benefits that are proposed and are listed in the staff report. In similar manner to other large-scale events, Art Town will be responsible for the majority of the event logistics, including security. Washoe County will be providing minimal staff time to assist in planning, monitoring, and cleanup of that event. So with that said, I'd like to invite Beth McMillan, the Executive Director of Art Town, up to the podium. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. My name is Beth McMillan. I'm the Executive Director of Art Town, and I'm not sure how to work this, so we'll get through it. Art Town's primary goals are to present the finest performing artists from around the world and encourage local artist and creative participation to highlight the best multidisciplinary arts in Northern Nevada. Art Town is a month-long summer arts festival. It features nearly 500 events produced by more than 100 organizations and businesses at over 130 locations, city and county-wide. Most events are free or low cost. We get support from corporate sponsors, foundations, and individual donors. And most importantly, Art Town was started by the city of Reno, and we get government support from the city, the county, the state, and the federal government. We are really honored and privileged to be able to receive that support. All of these enable Art Town to bring some of the world's greatest artists and performances into our community. Why Art Town at Rancho? Well, I don't know if you remember back in 2021, in the midst of COVID, obviously 2020, we had really no art town. And in 2021, I was determined to have an art town. People needed to be outside. People needed to be with friends and family to laugh. And we do this through the arts. And I approached the county and I said, look, the area where they do the balloon races is very large. We never need such a large environment. But because of COVID, we had to create pods that were 6 feet big, and they had to be 6 feet apart from one another. So we needed from row A to row Z, and we had to come down and paint them at 7 o'clock every morning after they'd mowed the grass. And that was after we had finished at midnight the night before. But we were determined to make this possible. And so we had 31 days of Art Town at Rancho San Rafael. The community loved it. The county endorsed it. And the neighborhood around absolutely enjoyed coming out and enjoying these 31 days. We really adhered to curfew at 10 p.m. We were very good renters, or we actually had the rent waived, but we were very good users of the county park and really respected everything. We had security overnight looking after everything, and it was an incredible month. At the end of the month, Delta variant became a factor, and masks went back into place, but we threaded the eye of a needle and had 31 days of what felt like freedom at Rancho San Rafael through the arts. So, Art Town has a great reputation for bringing the Reno community together through the arts. This wonderful opportunity at Rancho to create even more connections with the community. So we can't use Wingfield Park. It is closed now because they're redoing Arlington Street Bridge. And just to adjust what Stephanie said, we will still be at Hawkins Amphitheater, but all of our events from Wingfield Park, we're proposing to bring them up to Rancho San Rafael. There are many reasons behind it. One, yes, Wingfield Park is closed, but in the master plan, they're proposing an amphitheater. So we're going to be the guinea pigs this year of that area, because we're going to be using that same space. So we'll be able to figure out, how do we angle the stage so that it benefits the audience and the artists? What does the tree canopy look like when it's leafed out? Where do the vendors go? How, is the road coming down big enough, wide enough to bring in equipment for the stage? This year we'll be bringing in a portable stage, obviously not a fixed stage, but it's a wonderful opportunity for Art Town and the county to work together to see what the future holds for a permanent structure. So we're very excited. We had a wonderful meeting yesterday talking about the permanent structure, and nobody could be more excited than all of us at Art Town, not only Art Town, but the opportunity for the entire community, whether it's a small event for the Arboretum or Washoe County Libraries or a huge event for Art Town. We believe that this is an incredible space that's going to be transformed. So, this year, we have 4 Cultural Connections series performances planned for 2025, which will be taking place at Rancho San Rafael Regional Park every Wednesday in July. There will be performances that specifically connect to various cultures, which is still to be announced. The variety of different cultural performances creates a unique type of inclusion to our community. In addition, our grand opening night this year is our 30th anniversary. So our grand opening night will take place at Rancho San Rafael. Our community has waited 11 months to see what's going to happen for Art Town, and this will be the night that happens up at Rancho. And then after 31 days of arts and culture of over 500 events, we will close the festival on the 31st of July at Rancho San Rafael, when everyone will celebrate and say goodbye and wait another 12 months for Art Town to happen again. So this year also up at Rancho San Rafael will be Movies in the Park, which is beloved by everybody in our community, and also the ever-popular Reno Philharmonic doing Pops on the River will join us also up at this venue. So that is what we're doing, or planning to do, or hoping to do.
Okay, thank you for that. This is Commissioner Day. Question, looking back on another, it was a music event that held there, and they came back around and wanted to do it again. But there had been a number of community complaints, the neighbors behind the park. And it was loud music. I think it had something to do, if I'm not mistaken, of the amplified music facing the wrong direction and so forth. So is that all being taken into account with the various entertainment programs for our town?
Absolutely. We are first and foremost very concerned that our event is not only embraced by the county and the community, but especially the neighbors. And I am like a machine. I am like the decibel policeman, because I believe loud is just loud, and it's not better. And so we adhere to the decibel level that is mandated by the county. We do that at Hawkins Amphitheater, we do that at city properties, and we definitely do it at Rancho San Rafael. So we're very, very concerned about that as well.
All right, thank you.
I'll let anybody else go first before I get into it.
Uh-oh.
Beth, this is Commissioner Kearney. Nice to see you. My question is, what is your contingency plan if this commission says not this year?
We will have to find somewhere else. I mean, that's what we do. Our town is nimble. You know, we are a very small organization with a very big presence. I have a staff of 3. We will make a plan. We will always have Art Town for our community.
Will it, have you considered bringing it back to UNR where it started for the 30th?
You know what? We looked during COVID when we came up to Rancho. We actually looked at Manzanita Park. It's beautiful. And we just couldn't make it happen because it's not fenced. It is on a bus route, so that's really positive. And it just doesn't provide the privacy that Rancho San Rafael provides. When we were up there in 2021, we actually built an entire fence around the location where we did the work. And we do have Art Town on the quad. We do, every Tuesday night, we do take Art Town to the quad, and they support that. The university supports that.
As you know, I moved here 18 years ago for Art Town. That and my sister. My sister's gone. Art Town remains. I was in the audience seeing Sierra Nevada Ballet's Giselle, I think it was.
Yes.
The year that my sister died. And as you know, the story of the ballet, it was, there you go. My parents are buried in the cemetery that overlooks Rancho San Rafael. So for me personally, I would love nothing more to say yes. But what was so striking to me, and what was a little disconcerting, was when I read about this last week, in advance of this meeting today, where we get to decide today, I saw Washoe County's emblem all over the Art Town website already. And it felt to me like something was amiss. Like somebody knew something before we did. And it hurts the heart, and I'm so happy to be here. So it's a really interesting dilemma
I can clear that
for
up.
me.
The county has been a huge supporter of Art Town for many, many years. They have been a major sponsor of Art Town for many, many years. This piece this year is an addition to what the county already supports. So the county and Art Town are in a big relationship and have been for many years. This is not a new relationship. So the county's logo all over our website is absolutely worthy for many years.
Okay, thanks, Beth.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Hill here. Hi, Beth.
Hi.
I'm curious how many events I see that this would be really blocking out Rancho for the whole month. I saw that you're having Wednesday events there. Can you describe how many events?
Absolutely. So we've actually worked with the county and given back all the days that we're not going to be using. We want to make sure that they can use them, especially for weddings and other events where there's revenue. So we're using the park. We're using the park on Tuesday the 1st, all the Wednesdays, and Thursday the 31st. The events on Friday night are movies in the park. Okay. The only Saturday that will be used would be Pops on the River. So all the other days are given back to the county. So that is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days will be used at Rancho. All the other days, and especially weekends, which are most popular, are given back to the county.
Okay, thank you. And then a follow-up, how much growth does that represent from a non-COVID year? I was there the year that you had the squares and everything, and that it worked really well. Is it Friday night movies? Has that been happening in former art towns at Rancho?
It's movies in the park is at Wingfield Park with us.
Oh, that's at Wingfield.
So during COVID, they actually went to the drive-in movie theater. That 2021 year, everybody sort of figured out where they were going to go. And we actually had events on a Friday night anyway, so...
So last year, were there any events at Rancho?
No.
No, okay.
So this is all brand new for us, as far as... And the location is different than when we did the pods. We're actually where the Flume Log Ride is. It's a smaller parcel that's completely fenced. It's more intimate, because we don't all have to sit 6 feet apart from one another. So it's a more suitable area, and that is the area that is the proposed area for the amphitheater anyway. So that's why I say we're a good guinea pig for what lies ahead.
All right, Mark Newman for the record. I got a few.
Okay.
You're talking about the amphitheater and temporary for right now. Are you working with the balloon races? You could see the conflict that we just went through. You were here for it. To make sure that everything that you're working with is approved with them, because that is a big running event. Second, the commission, the people that are coming in for Art Town, your bands, and are you going to be charging for parking and to charging admission to all these different events, or is it just free and open to everybody to come see the bands, go walk around? Are the people paying for booths that are there, or is that going to be under that $87,000?
Okay, I'll answer all your questions. Can you remind me the first one? Sorry. Can you remind me the first question so I can answer that first?
Is it open and free to the public for the
Yes.
events?
Yes, it's open and free to the public. We're working with the county because we want to make sure that we don't overfill capacity. So what we do at Hawkins Amphitheater, we'll do the same thing here. If the county says that 2,000 people can be in the space, we will give everybody a wristband when they come in. Once we're out of 2,000 wristbands, or whatever the number is that the county dictates, then we're done. Nobody else can come into the venue. So we'll never run into the problem of too many people. We are not an event that sells booths. The only people that we have being concessions are food and beverage and ice cream. Well, that's food, I suppose, but ice cream is its own category, right? So we don't do booths, and we don't have people coming in with booths, and people don't walk. People come in, the show's at 7:30, the gates will open at 5. People will come and sit down, they'll watch the show will go from 7:30 to 9:30, then everybody will go away. We're working with the county. We will do the bathrooms. We'll bring in portable bathrooms. We'll be doing all the security. We'll also be bringing in light trees, which are those big construction lights that they have on the freeway, to make sure that there is light when people go to their cars. We want it to be a very safe environment for everybody. So we're working very closely with staff at the county, and I have to say that everybody at the county, and I've told the county staff this is not a surprise, county staff always find a way to yes. And they're amazing. So we really work very closely because we know that we will make something happen together.
Thank you. Anybody online?
Do we have any other questions from commissioners?
Yeah, Commissioner Hill, I'd like to just hear from the staff about the 17 days or whatever it was that they would be giving back, that Art Town would be giving back. It's not That's not represented currently in this language. Is that important? Are those days that you will be able to use? If so, do we need to change the language on the recommendation?
Stephanie DRC, Operations Superintendent for Parks. Thank you for that question. Yes, we have now received the schedule for the events, and those 17 days are incredibly valuable to us. July is an amazingly busy time during our season, and certainly it's very popular for weddings and other events at that time. So we will be able to utilize those dates that Beth has given back to us. And as far as whether the language needs to be amended, I would need to take another peek at it.
If it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter, and you can still use them. I just want to make sure that, if it is important, that we would want to do that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Newman, one more question. While these events are going on, is the park going to still be remained open for the rest of the public to go into the dog park and go in and use the exercise equipment that's there? And the rest of the park going to be open, and just one section of the park is Art Town and the rest of the park is still open?
Again, Stephanie DRC, Operations Superintendent. Yes, the park will still be open to the public. The multi-use pasture will be available. Obviously, the area that we are setting aside for Art Town will be utilized. The parking spaces will be full, but the rest of the park will be open for public use.
Okay, thank you. I hear a motion.
Okay, this is Commissioner Hill. I am looking for the language of the motion. Okay. Nope, that's not it.
It's usually towards the end of the staff report.
Thank you.
I usually just label as motion or.
Here it is.
Page 3, if that's helpful.
All right. I move to recommend the Board of County Commissioners approve a request for sponsorship of the 2025 Art Town Festival, waive park facility rental and use fees, $87,400, in consideration of Washoe County being recognized as a sponsor, and approve an agreement with Art Town for the Art Town Festival 2025 events to be held at Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, July 1st through the 31st, 2025.
Commissioner Newman, I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments in chambers?
I have no public comment in chambers. I have no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you, Brandon. And we'll have a vote.
Aye.
All in favor of adopting this recommendation, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item 12. Presentation, discussion, and possible approval of a special event agreement with Luis Palau Association for the Great Reno Tahoe City Fest to be held at Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, August 23rd and 24th, 2025.
Thank you. Again, Stephanie DRC, Operations Superintendent for Parks. I'm bringing forward today a presentation, discussion, and possible approval of a special event agreement that was submitted to us from the Palau Association for the Great Reno Tahoe City Fest. The Palau Association approached us in July of 2024, interested in bringing a 2-day multi-stage music festival to Rancho San Rafael. They anticipate daily attendance between 12 and 15,000 visitors over the day. It is a family-friendly event. They anticipate 3 days for setup, 1 additional day for cleanup, for a total of 6 days of total use in the park. Stages will be set up in the multi-use pasture area with an action sports demonstration requested to be on the turf. Security and logistics are the responsibility of the promoter, and with all special events, county staff and ranger staff will be reasonably available to provide support. I'd like to introduce Carrie Hart from the Palau Association for a presentation and questions. Thank you. Oh, you are not Carrie, but come on in and introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Alan Batts. I've been a business owner in Reno for 24 years and also a co-chair of the Reno Tahoe City Fest movement. Very happy to be here today and also looking for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. For the record, I'm Mike Alger. I'm also a co-chairman of the Reno Tahoe City Fest 2025. I had the honor of being the chairman it'll be 21 years ago. I don't know if any of you, I know a lot of you have been around long enough to perhaps witness that event. It's our honor to, first of all, work with the county. I want to start off by saying thank you so much for the incredible cooperation we've had. It's been great, and we certainly appreciate the ease and ability to work with the county for this event. We're super excited about it at this point. We've got over 85 churches that are joining together as one, and it is a community event. It is our event. The Palau organization is being brought in because they know how to do these things. But it is an event that not only is directed toward the two days the event is occurring and the 3 days of setup and 1 day of teardown after that, but is something that we hope will bear fruit beyond, because we have, in addition to that, a city serve project that we want to partner with the county and the local governments and schools and everything to continue having this large movement of people. We expect over 2,000 volunteers at the event, and as I said, the participation of, we hope by the time we're there, over 100 churches in the area of Western Nevada and up around Lake Tahoe, but most likely and most importantly, concentrated here in the Washoe County area. So again, I just thank you so much for giving us this chance to present this to you. We'll be around for questions. I want to introduce Randy Burtis, who is our festival director. Randy was also our director back in 2004 when we did our first City Fest. Randy?
Thank you, Alan and Mike, and thank you, commissioners. I know it's been a long day. I think maybe a little longer than everyone planned. I apologize if there was any rudeness. For the record, Randy Burtis, City Fest Director. We were having a little huddle back there because we thought, okay, what can we do to get the message across and cut it a little bit, because we're kind of at the end here. So if we seemed disinterested, we were not. We were just trying to revamp a little along the way. The thing I just want to share quickly, and then I'll introduce Carrie Hart, our Logistics Director, for whom I leave the tough questions, and she can give the detail. But in concept, we come when a group of nonprofits get together and want to do something of a citywide nature. Sometimes, especially for the 2-day event at San Rafael, it's, you need some help with logistics and planning and maybe even fundraising and so forth. And that's what we do. We work with nonprofits. We are a nonprofit ourselves. And so we're just pleased to get, it's always nice when you come once and then it took them 20 years, but then, you get invited back. So here we are. It's a free event. What you see you'll see in a minute in more detail at Rancho San Rafael. Somebody corrected me. I met a lady who helped found the park on my way in. I said, yeah, we're doing an event at Rancho San Rafael. And she said, it's Rafael. So I'm still learning getting rid of the bad habit. As Mike said, it's a very grassroots thing, and we're really happy to be a part of it. We're focusing here today in these chambers on those few days at the park at Rancho, but it's much more than that. It's really already been going for some time. The conversation started before COVID, like a lot of things, took a short pause. I didn't feel short, and then came back on the other side and continued to come together with the churches and nonprofits that are being a part of this. But if I could, I just want to take 2 minutes to share with you. That festival serves many purposes, but it serves really as a capstone and a celebration to a year of churches and nonprofits coming together in a number of ways that are really beneficial to the city, to the citizens. We've met with the mayor's offices in both Sparks and Reno, and they've given us some avenues to follow. It starts with something we call City Serve, and it's an effort. If you were to peruse church websites or you attend a church, you know that many, many churches in Reno are involved already in serving human need in the community, whether it's helping with homeless issues or foster care or what have you. They're already involved. This is an effort on their part to increase that, and specifically to increase collaboration. So City Serve is already talking with nonprofits in the area, in the arenas of human need, like homelessness and so forth. That, of course, from both mayor's offices was a huge topic. And so we had that, and that we talked about good practices and bad practices, and as churches, we're often guilty of both. And so working closely with them, we've got churches now engaging around, specifically right now, and it's a growing list, foster care, getting more foster parents, foster respite workers, properly trained, resourcing foster families in various ways and in just items that are needed, and in schools, mentoring in the areas of math tutoring or history tutoring or whatever it is the schools need. We're not saying to them, this is what we ought to do. We're meeting with them and saying, what could we do? And these are some of the things that are coming back. There's meal programs that the churches are preparing to support. There's an event organized within the First Nation community that we're helping assist with some of the logistics and bringing other resources in from the outside as they tell us what's appropriate. And much of this is already in progress, and the unique thing about City Serve and City Fest is they're positioning it to keep going. In other words, where churches were working and maybe going in and doing yard work in a school facility and going in and tutoring math and so forth, and different ones, now they're at the request really of schools saying, maybe we could coordinate and work together since we're both visiting the same school and at the request of the schools and for the needs that they make available or that they tell us about. So that all of that is going on. It's in process right now. That 2,000 volunteer crew, which is a bit conservative, is actually already being built, and it's about a third of the way built, I would say. So then moving forward through these next months then toward August 23 and 24, and I don't say that presumptuously, I say that hopefully to you today. And we arrive at that week leading up to the 23rd and 24th of August. We've had many, many meetings with the staff at Rancho, worked through issues of what's the best way. We had some ideas, they showed us some better ideas, they had some ideas, we showed them some better ideas, and it all came together in a way that we're very, very pleased with. So that week, then again, a number of things. There are some men's events. Am I supposed to be clicking this? Oh. Okay, we're behind. Nobody in our organization would ever give me a clicker. There we go. That's the young lady who's coming. That's me. And so this is some scenes of City Serve. This is where we did some park renovations in other cities where the churches did. I'm not sure if this is from Reno in 2004 or not. But obviously, just a quick sample of the things that we're doing. School backpacks, it's great when the schools help based on usually lunch programs and who qualifies and so forth, so you get to the things to the right people. Then we arrive at that week of the event, and we gather men together. There's a men's event that's an inspirational event. There's There's a women's event that's an inspirational event. The ones we did in Reno in 2004 were the largest, and the one before that and right after, one was Minneapolis, Minnesota, and one was in Florida, and and they didn't even come close to the crowds that came in Reno. There's what we call the family fun zone. Just nothing new under the sun, as they say. Face painting and bounce castles and potato sack races. Those are some colorful potatoes, but all of those things going on, and many other things. There's a little stage that goes up where there's a stage program for the kids. Kind of simultaneously, I guess I should say alternatingly, the BMX bicycle guys that do their stunts in the air. A couple of them were even here for the first one. And then freestyle motocross, and this one is particularly a crowd pleaser, and people come. And we showed this picture for a specific reason. What you see that stage sitting on right there, or those ramps where they're going. There's not a track that these things are running around. What you see right there is on a $2 million artificial turf field in Eugene, Oregon, at the University of Oregon, where obviously concern of what happened to the ground was very, very high, and it was actually, the manager said it was better when we left than when we got there. As those things go on and the afternoon goes on, then the crowds begin to gather. We have a bit of turnover because a lot of those parents with young children have had it. They go home and they've had a great day, and now people coming in for the music. It's a family event, and so it's a mixture of music of different genres, some for youth, some very traditional, and so you can come and take your pick. If you don't like what you're hearing, wait 20 minutes and you'll hear something else. And so the crowd begins to build. These are just samples from other cities, similar size crowds. We start with contemporary music. Probably two contemporary different musical artists that would be there. An inspirational speaker from Andrew Palau, whose name appears under the logo. He is the speaker for the event. And the people responding to the music and to the message. And then it ends, and I love this picture, it's symbolic. All of this stuff that's gone on for a year, this festival serves as a celebration of that, and it is a faith-based event with a faith-based message, and as we said, there's over 100 churches by the time we're done that will be involved in that. But this is where we celebrate at the end, and we point a finger toward the fact that all of the collaboration built in that time, over that year, and churches in this community are already collaborating, but it's their desire to to increase that collaboration so that it can be more effective and more efficient, if you will, instead of sometimes going in so many directions when there are people you could have partnered with had you looked around. And that is the send-off from that crowd to that which we will stay in an advisory capacity, and at least until they get kind of feet under all that process. And that is what we're here to talk to you about. So I don't know if you want to take questions or if you want to wait until this young lady comes and talks with you about timings and layouts and all of that. Carrie Hart.
The next part, yeah.
Hello, everyone. For the record, Carrie Hart with the Palau Association. Glad to be in front of you. So as Randy mentioned, and others, we did this event at Rancho in 2004 in the same area that we're presenting to do the event for this next go-around. So there's actually some pictures from 2004 with the stage down in the off-leash area, the multi-use field. And we're saying that we would like to do it in the same location this next year. So it was a great turnout. We had over 100 churches involved then, and we would expect the same for this next go-around. Just kind of the event day for August 23rd and 24th. We do these other activities, the family fun zone and the action sports activities, prior to the main stage starting. So this is a tentative schedule. We still would have to figure things out, but either 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock start, kind of alternating the crowd between the kids area and the sports demos. There will be food. There will be artists who are selling merchandise. We do raise the budget locally to make it a free event for the community. So there will be sponsors, local businesses who have put forth money that will be able to have a sponsor booth on site they're not selling, they're just handing out information about their businesses or engaging with the crowd. And then we would look to do the main stage to start around 6:15 with an end around 9:45, both Saturday and Sunday. So this is a mock-up of what we presented to the Parks Department about layout using the stage in the multi-use field, and then what was mentioned, the action sports, the BMX and the motorcycles being on the hard turf because they need flat surfaces. That is where we did it back in 2004, but the setup was a bit different. We were a skateboard and BMX park, and we built a 10,000 square foot park at that time. This is different. Now they have mobile ramps that they bring in. They unfold. The FMX takes off from one ramp, and they land on an inflatable ramp. And it's just a really straight shot. There is no public interaction. It's completely fenced off, and we, to this date, have had no incidences with anything in that area. But this is what we're presenting as far as our layout, and we've showed that to the Parks Department as well. Just kind of a zoom in of the field there. We have talked to the balloon race folks about kind of their areas and stuff because we would be a couple weeks before them, and there's no concern there about us doing any damage to whatever they would need and vice versa. So, and that's just a zoom in of the stage. So it is, it's a large stage similar to, it's a 40 by 60 stage with a sound system that we are able to direct sound into different areas, and we can do a sound map of where that noise would come from, but we are aware of the 100 decibel limits at the Coleman and Washington Street entrances of the park, and that's not a problem. We've done monitoring before. We monitor at front of house several times during the event and can always make adjustments as well, but because of the grade down there, we are a bit lower than community level and stuff, and Washington Street would be above where we'd be playing and stuff. So we don't have a concern. We feel we can manage that, no problem, with the sound system that we'd be using, but we can provide sound maps if that's something that you all would want to see. Parking, I know, is a concern of many events at the park. So with the help of park staff, we have identified parking areas and spots. We will be contacting, assuming we have permission to do the event, the university about using the southeast corner of McCarran and Sierra there. That is where we used parking back in 2004. We didn't have any parking on site. I think since 2004, the options for parking on site have increased. So we do know that it's opening weekend for the college there and dorm move-ins and stuff, I believe, but there is no home game planned that weekend. So because we'd be further from the dorms, we'll be reaching out to see if we can use those parking spots and offer that to the public. We currently don't charge for parking, so we try to leave it open as much as possible for public parking for free. We do have the option, if we needed to, from several churches to do park and rides if we can't get enough parking in the vicinity of the park where people could walk over, or we could do a short shuttle. We do have churches in the area that we could do park and ride situations from. Questions?
I have a quick question for staff. Just for my own curiosity, what's the threshold? Why is this in front of this body? Is it the amount of the special use permit? Is it because it's a special use permit? Is it the amount of days? I'm just curious. What reaches us? How is that determination made?
Yes, again, Stephanie DRC, Park Operations Superintendent. So Parks Commission is the governing body that gets to approve these special event agreements and requests. So that's why we brought it to you at this point. As far as the level that starts at, I could defer to Eric for that level of detail.
Thank you. For the record, Eric Crump with Washington County's Community Services Department. So you bumped something loose. So we have a special use policy that was approved many, many, many years ago, and it is kind of our guiding document. And so reservations of park facilities kind of fall into three buckets. You have your standard reservation of like a community center for a wedding or something like that. That is done at the staff level. We have special activities, and those are clearly defined in that policy. That's based on size and duration. I don't know those off the top of my head, but it's based on the size of the event and the duration of the event. Obviously, that has a direct impact on the park and other users of the park. Again, those are done through a permitting process at the staff level. Then you get into larger events. We call those special event agreements, and need a formalized agreement where you have insurance and you have terms and conditions and dates, and those are applicable to larger events that either trigger based on size or based on duration, and oftentimes both. So this one falls in that category. I don't know it right off the top of my head, but I will get you all of that policy. It lives on our website.
Yep. Thank you.
Eric, could you hold on, just another question on the indemnification on this thing with motorsports involved here, that kind of adds another level to the risk?
Yes.
And is that's addressed in their insurance requirements for this event?
Yes, so thank you for the question. All of our agreements are run through our risk management division within the county and our deputy district attorney and district attorney's office. So we explain to them what event's going on. They define the provisions associated with indemnification and insurance requirements specific to that event.
Don't go away. So this is being brought forth in front of us because it meets 100-plus churches, is that what I understand?
We're hoping by the time of the event, right now, we're over 85 churches and nonprofits, but we're continually adding churches every week. So by the time of the event, it'll be over 100, most likely.
And now the stage that looking at the setup, but the stage, is the speakers going to be pushed away from the houses so that we, as commissioners, have heard so many times before, the loud music being blasted into the homes?
Right. So the direction of the stage right now is that the speakers would be facing Coleman. But with the distance of the stage to Coleman Avenue, the sound will decrease, and there's a slope there as well, and we can direct the speakers to not blast into the homes, but actually direct into the slope so that they're not hitting people's windows. Will they hear it? They're going to hear it, but they're not going to hear it as if they're standing right in front of the stage. And we will be monitoring the decibel levels as well to make sure that we can do any tuning that we need to.
Okay, thank you.
This is Commissioner Dake. Again, on this is a free event?
It's a free event, yes.
Okay, so this area is essentially open, people can come and go as they please?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And we will also make sure to leaflet the neighborhoods to make sure that they are aware and invited to come to the event as well. So just hours of the program. We've done this before in many different areas. We did it in San Diego at Mission Bay Park. We had to notify neighbors, and in Portland, Oregon, when there was residences so close by. So we have a plan for that as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Joel has his hand raised.
Hey, thank you, Brendan. Commissioner Joel, for the record, I mean, this event sounds fine. I don't have any opposition to it, but in the back of my mind, I am thinking about some of the comments, from the public that we got during the master plan process about, how they liked an undeveloped park, right? The things that they go there for and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of wondering if staff is aware, because I don't believe I've ever heard of it, but do we have like a maximum number of event days that's ever been discussed for Rancho San Rafael?
Thank you again, Stephanie DRC, Operations Superintendent. In the special event policy, there is a limit of 2 events at this level per year. So balloon races obviously counts as one of those. So this would be the other large event for 2025 in this space.
Gotcha. Thank you for that clarification. And I guess just I'm curious, how is it decided who fills one of those spots? Like, is it the first one to apply every year, or is that our job as the commission to make that decision? I'm just curious on that.
Wherever you are, can you speak to that? I'm going to ask Eric to speak to that.
So for the record, Eric Crump with Washoe County's Community Services, and thanks for that information. There's a variety of factors that goes in with permitting and special event agreements. Right now, it's basically first request in. We work with folks based on the guidance that's set out in the policy. We negotiate an agreement. We come to this board, and so that's been the process. In my experience, I've been with the county 20 years. I've been there for nearly every event at Rancho San Rafael. So it has worked itself out. We can always go back. We have a lot of parks. And so we have lots of, I shouldn't say we have a lot of parks. We have a fair amount of parks. Rancho is obviously nearest and dearest to a lot. But when we're reaching kind of the carrying capacity in terms of a special event for Rancho, we have other options, and we can bring those to promoters.
Okay, thank you for that.
Do we have any other questions from the commission? Can we get a motion? I can do a motion, right? Yeah, okay.
I'd be willing to make a motion. This is Commissioner Joel, but let me try to pull it up here, as maybe others are also doing.
This is Commissioner Dake. I've got it.
Okay.
Move to approve a special event agreement with Luis Palau Association for the Great Reno Tahoe City Fest to be held at Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, August 23rd and 24th, 2025.
That's it.
Second? Do I hear a second?
I'll second it. Mark Newman, Commissioner Newman, for the record, I'll second the motion.
Do we have any public comments?
I have no public comment in chambers. I have no hands raised on Zoom.
With that motion seconded, I take a vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by
I do
saying
recommend.
aye.
Oh, did you call for public comment?
Yeah.
Yes, we
I
just did
apologize.
public
Go
comment.
ahead. I
Okay,
apologize.
all right.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
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 All those opposed? Ayes have it, motion is approved.
Thank you.
Event.
Thanks for your patience. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I wondered what you were going to do in your retirement.
Well, this is one thing here. I don't feel real retired, actually.
Well, I retired in 2019. You see what I'm doing.
Okay, moving on. Item 13, Parks Report. Stephanie, are you doing that one?
I'm doing it.
All right.
Again, Stephanie DRC, Operations Superintendent for Parks. I don't want to read those reports to you, but I do want to take a minute to highlight some of the amazing work that this department is responsible for over the last couple of months. In our planning division, I have some very exciting news. The Nevada State Parks has tentatively awarded a Recreational Trails Program grant, an RTP grant, for the Sierra Front Trail Construction Project Phase 1 in the amount of $275,048 with a match of $68,762 for a total project cost of $343,810. What Phase 1 will include is 7.7 miles of new multi-use single-track trail that connects from the Michael D. Thompson Trailhead to Hunter Lake Road. We expect this to be awarded in April or May, and we are very excited about this project.
Yes, indeed.
And just a comment on these individuals in charge of this area. I'm incredibly impressed with the planning team and the large amount of projects, grants, and proposals that they are always working on. We are also very excited to add another member to this team and can announce we have hired Bobby Fowler as our new natural resource field technician to support the trails and the integrated vegetation management program. He will officially start on Monday, and we are really happy to have him on board full-time. As far as the Arboretum goes, Dragon Lights concluded, and we did notice about a $15,000 to $20,000 or person decline in attendance this year. It was moved from summer to fall, and although it was extended by a few weeks, we did see that drop, which all of us in discussion have contributed to weather. It's obviously a lot harder to enjoy the lights when you're a little bit cold. But it is a better time of the year for us in parks to leave that very busy season in the summer open for rentals and other public use during that time. But we can all agree that it was a very successful event in the park. When you are welcoming 90,000 people and then you see about a 12,000 person drop, of course, that's significant, but we still can be really proud of the impact of that event in our park. We are still reconciling the financials, so we should have some hard numbers on what that brings in very soon, but we don't have those finalized yet. And then finally, or in addition, our May Museum has loaded our traveling exhibition in for 2025. We are exhibiting The Lost World of Dragons through April 27th. It's an interactive exhibit that showcases the role that dragons play in many different cultures around the world. We are hosting a event on Saturday between 10 and 4 for Washoe County and Washoe County School District employees, so they can come check the event out with their families as well. If any of you are all interested, I'm happy to get you some passes and make sure that you can come out and enjoy that exhibit with your families if you'd like. Additionally, I can announce that we've extended an offer and received acceptance from Wes Jean, who is the museum's programs coordinator, as the new curator at the May Museum. Obviously, Christy Lyde, who you saw earlier, has spent over 39 years in that role, so we are very excited to bring a new curator in and some fresh eyes on that really valued county resource. And then finally, we are able to report in volunteers that we had 9,788 volunteer hours for 2024. Using the estimated national value of volunteer time, that's equivalent to over $327,000 and almost 5 additional full-time staff in those hours. So the hours increased over 1,400 over the previous year. So clearly that program is off and running and growing every year, and we're very proud of it. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioner Kearney, sorry, this thing. The only question that I had as reading the highlights, the Nature Loop Trail, all that is not going to affect Art Town or this new Palau Festival, will it?
No, it should
Good.
not.
That was
Thank
the
you.
only question I had.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't know if I should ask Commissioner Garcia or you. I know the money been approved for the Sun Valley BMX track, and I took a drive up there last week, and nothing has been started on that. And I thought that was already supposed to be kicking into gear for opening of this summer for Washoe County, for the kids to go out and have bikes to ride into a beginner to expert levels.
Correct. Again, Stephanie DRC, Operations Superintendent. I was in a meeting last week on some final design items. I know that that project is set to start any day, and I am happy to get that information on the exact start date and get that to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Great. Thank you very
Stephanie.
much.
Agenda item 14, Director's Report.
Thank you for the record, Eric Crump. I'll be brief, but there's a few items that the Board of County Commission approved that are worthy of recognition. So they actually approved several award for bids for construction. One's $2.5 million for kind of the first next phase of South Valley's regional park. That's going to be primarily grading, infrastructure, some parking. And then we, as you know, we recently were awarded a grant from the Pennington Foundation, so we'll be able to just keep moving forward on the development of South Valley's. The board also awarded $512,000 improvements to the Lemon Valley Park ball fields. Those will be just some improvements. That's a very old park. We have some drainage concerns and challenges there, so very excited to make those improvements. They awarded $546,000 to improvements to the Emilio Gaspari Water Play Park at Lazy 5 Regional Park. And then they awarded $459,000 for construction of the River Bend Trailhead. So this is actually going to be, this is exciting because it's a new facility for us. We've made lots of improvements over the years to existing facilities. This is a brand-new facility that is located out in Verdi, right along the Truckee River. It has been many, many, many years in the makings with an adjacent property owner, and we'll be constructing river access, short trail system, and a trailhead there. So hopefully we'll get you all out on a tour and maybe a ribbon cutting. And then lastly,
What trails does that, is there a trail along the Truckee that's going to connect to, or?
that one will have no direct connection. It's just going to be Truckee River access, and so
Out there away from so many of the other.
yeah, exactly. There was really no good connection, kind of formalized connection, but it's really great riverfront access.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the time frame for construction on that? Through the summer, you think, or?
Oh, she's gone. Yeah, so I just got awarded. I know we're having those conversations with the contractor who was awarded. They'll have so many days to deliver. I think this is a pretty small project. I think it's like a 90-day delivery, so it should be open this summer.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Mark Newman, for the record, to continue on with the river bend. Is this going to be where the river bend at where Mayberry and ends into it, or is it actually further up in past Mogul into Verdi itself?
This is in Verdi. So if you're in what would be kind of East Verdi area, there's a new roundabout by Somerset. You go through that, and it's an old mobile home park.
Okay.
So you know where that is? Mm-hmm. That's the location, right there.
The only reason I ask it, and to continue on with Commissioner Day, is they're talking literally a path from Truckee, Tahoe, all the way through Truckee, down the Truckee River, all the way to Pyramid.
Yeah.
Is this going to be part of that when it's all in the master plan, or is this going to be kind of like separate on its own? Wonderland.
So this will be, this is a separate trail. It just provides access along a short, not a short, but a relatively short section. The Pyramid Tahoe Trail is primarily already done. There's a few sections. The East Canyon is a challenge for them. We're continuing to work with that group. In this particular area, that trail is on Old Highway 40, which is access to this, that's how you access this trailhead. So it goes right by it.
Well, coming living here for just a short time, it used to be the Lincoln Highway.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Lastly, the board approved a land lease and an amendment to a development agreement we have with First Tee Northern Nevada. So they currently own and operate Wild Creek Golf Course. This dates back to 2017, 2018, 2019. We sold some property to the school district so they could build the new Hug High School. At that point in time, it was determined that the proceeds for the sale of that land would stay on site, benefit Wild Creek Golf Course. The development agreement originally contemplated we own, through a patent with the Bureau of Land Management, we own a portion of what used to be the old golf course. And so they still needed that 39 acres for their expansion into a full 18-hole golf course. The development agreement contemplated Washoe County using the proceeds to purchase the reversionary interest, so we would own it outright, not under patent, could do whatever we wanted. It would then go to First Tee, much like the other 100-plus acres has gone to First Tee with reversionary interest. If they don't operate as a golf course, comes back to the county. And in working with the BLM, it was determined that we didn't need to do that purchase. We could do a lease. Therefore, using that money, instead of purchasing the land, using the money to go back into the course. So we just made those changes, and they've already broke ground to turn that back into an 18-hole golf course. So, and that's all I have.
Stay there.
Question for you, Eric. Mark Newman, now they're going to be putting in an 18-hole golf course. They have right now a 9-hole executive and 6 holes on a regular course. Is it going to be just, and I've seen the drawings where they're going to take the executive course out, and that's going to be, some of the holes will become part of the 18 holes. They plan on putting a driving range in. When is all of this development supposed to start to proceed for the First Tee program? Both my kids went through that program as well.
They broke ground 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
So,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dake, my question is in regard to these events that are planned in this case, 3 of them at San Rafael Regional Park, but these are all done in lieu of fees. And is that just because it's historically done that way? Is that an enticement? What's from the county's perspective, what's the advantage of doing that?
So great question. Approving events and basically giving a fee waiver goes back. It is, governments have been doing it for a long time, and it's really, it's at this board's discretion now. It was ultimately at the Board of County Commission. The 2 they approved today, one is actually, they're paying their full fees, $45,000 for the Plow Festival. They haven't asked for a fee waiver. If a group requests a fee waiver, staff will try to balance what is the benefit to the public. You have things like, right now, I think the only 2 events that are getting a fee waiver, if I'm not mistaken, are the balloon races and Art Town. And they kind of historically have, the county at some point in time said, these are great events for the community. We want to sponsor, we want to be part of these events. But ultimately, it is at your discretion.
Thank you. Okay, I didn't click that the 2-day music festival thing was they're a paid event, so, okay.
That is correct.
They're paying,
All
but
right,
the
thank
other
you.
one isn't.
Thank you.
Agenda item 15, any requests from commissioners for future agenda items? Hearing none. Any public comments?
I have no public comment in chambers. I have no hands raised on Zoom.
Moving right along, let's adjourn.
Thank you.